Board of Supervisors to order. Mr. Hohen, may I have a roll call, please?
Supervisor Giommi.
Here.
Supervisor White. Supervisor Horton. Supervisor Schutte.
Here.
Mayor Bagwell.
Here.
You have your quorum.
Thank you so much. We'll start with our invocation this morning, and I see that Pastor Hodge is here. Please start us off with something great today.
Let's pray. Father, you have told us that you have required us to love mercy, to act justly, and to walk humbly before you. And we pray this morning for our officials before us that you would give them wisdom and the courage to choose the things that are good. Lord, we pray over our city and over its people that you would teach us more and more to love kindness and to care for each other, and that in all things we would walk humbly before you and each other, seeking the good of our neighbor before our own good, and in doing so, when the whole city does it, finding that each of us are cared for. Lord, come to be our help. Come to be our hope. Come, Lord, to lead our whole city into all that you have planned for us. We pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much. Since it's Wildland Fire Day, and I have a whole bunch of fire-related people here, Chief Nyberg, would you do us the honor of the pledge? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you so much. Okay, we're on opening public comment. I have 3 listed. First one I have is Paula Peters. Good morning.
Okay, I'm too late to submit this written public comment, so I'm speaking today. And I wrote this morning, so bear with me. Okay, per NRS 354.6105, Fund for Extraordinary Maintenance, Repair, or Improvement of Capital Projects. A local government may establish a fund for the extraordinary maintenance, repair, or improvement of capital projects. Any interest and income earned on the money in the fund in excess of any amount which is reserved for rebate payments to the federal government pursuant to blah, 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 blah. Okay, so my question, I'm not going to read it because you all have a copy. I would like clarification from the city about the extraordinary fund. The NRS does not list that the fund may be used for capital projects or facilities. I think this means that the NRS does not allow the funds to be used for new construction, which would be a capital improvement. Because in the wording of it, it does say that the fund may only be used for the extraordinary maintenance, repair, or improvement of capital projects or facilities that replace capital projects of the entity that made the deposits in the fund. So I'd like you to clarify for me, does the city think they can use it for new construction? And 2, why has the city been using this fund for much needed, why has not the city been using this fund for much needed maintenance, repairs, and improvements of city facilities? Thank you.
Thank you. I have Ron and Teresa Jones.
Good morning, Mayor Bagwell, members of the Carson City Board of Supervisors, and city staff. My name is Teresa Jones, and I'm speaking today on behalf of myself, my husband, and numerous neighbors affected by an ongoing residential parking nuisance in our neighborhood. We appreciate the opportunity to address the board this morning. We are here today to respectfully request consideration of amendment to the Carson City Municipal Code 102490, parking for certain purposes prohibited, to include an additional provision addressing a chronic residential parking nuisance. Conduct by one resident at 233 Albany Avenue is impacting numerous other residents living on Albany Avenue and West 4th Street. The packet provided contains 4 documents. First, a letter to the board detailing the ongoing hostile and retaliatory conduct by the resident at 233 Albany. We'll be mailing the letter with signatures to the board early next week. Second, proposed amendment language for Carson City Municipal Code 102490. Third, map and description of the habitual nuisance parking by the resident at 233 Albany. Fourth, photographic documentation illustrating the pattern of hostile and intimidating conduct that neighbors have been experiencing over the past 4 years. The proposed code amendment is not intended to restrict lawful guest parking, temporary overflow parking, contractors, caregivers, deliveries, or other ordinary residential parking. Its purpose is to address repeated and unreasonable conduct in which an individual persistently shifts parking burden onto neighboring properties despite available parking in front of and on their own property. We believe the proposed ordinance language provides a balanced and enforceable approach by establishing clear thresholds for repeated conduct, requiring parking of the vehicle at the owner's residence, i.e. on property or in front of, providing reasonable exemptions for legitimate circumstances, utilizing complaint-driven enforcement procedures, and importantly, treating habitual displacement parking as a neighborhood nuisance issue rather than a simple parking preference dispute. The photographs included in the packet represent a small portion of the extensive photo and video documentation taken by neighborhood residents, which are available to the board upon request. We respectfully ask the board refer this matter to the appropriate staff, legal counsel, and advisory committees for review and consideration. Thank you for your time, attention, and service to our community. We are happy to provide additional documentation and answer any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I have Mike Lafferty.
Good morning. Thank you. I'm Mike Lafferty, a Lakeview resident, the Fire Adapted Nevada Neighborhood Ambassador, as well as FireWise Committee Chair. Since we're talking about fire today, I thought it'd be a good time to come and share about how pleased Lakeview is with the support we've had from CCFD in keeping our wildland fuels lower and making it a safer place, lowering the risk. Some examples, last year we conducted a full-scale multi-agency evacuation. I was concerned because getting people out is of course the first thing we were concerned about. John Backadal and the emergency team put together a great event. It was a learning experience for all. That was fantastic. And then there's the Quiet Bins and Trailers program. Not many people know about it, but in Lakeview there's 245 people, or residences, and we moved 30 20 cubic yard bins of fuels out, as well as 100 6x10 trailers. What a great program. I don't think that much fuel would be going out of Lakeview every year if the residents didn't have the support of the system that takes care of that. The fuels management up on the hills between Lakeview and Timberline, as well as to the west, have been phenomenally helpful. If a fire does come in, I should say when the fire comes in, it'll slow it down a little bit, and that will be helpful. So continuing with the fuels reduction in the Carson City property, which is adjacent to most of Lakeview, would be fantastic. As well, the defensible space inspections, it educates the residents, but in particular gives them a specific thing they can do now. So I see the results. After the defensible space inspections, people know what to do and they take action. And then there's the continuous coaching and help from Kimberly, John, all the others. They are just great. They know what they're doing. They know how to help, and we just greatly value their support. So I encourage you to continue to support the Wildland Fuels Division and the CCFD, and they're working in the community as well as the areas that are Carson City property. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't have anyone else signed up for opening public comment, but I see Denny has his hand up, so come on up. Yeah, we just pulled it to read names.
Denny French, Carson City, Nevada. I am stepping away from my usual bug so I can pest you with something else. The next thing is that I am also in an area of my concern, but lack of knowledge. And so understanding that, I hope that you will give me a patient review of the considerations I'm putting before you. Open meeting law is something that I can't keep track of, but that I've certainly made a good deal of consideration to. I can't keep every NRS in line, but in this case, I think there has been a violation of the open meeting law related to the Sunset Park situation and how it was phrased on the agenda and the lack of supporting material that went into the specifics. I would rather not have brought this to anyone's attention, but I can't necessarily catch the ear of those that would have been able to help me because they are so busy in the jobs that they are performing. One of the jobs, though, I think is not available, and maybe we should hire, is that interim person that I could go up to before a meeting, make sure that I'm online with the basics of my consideration, and before I present it before you and take your time. Whether or not I should have brought this up or not, I have. And whether it's an uncomfortable circumstance, because I know the consequences if, in fact, it is a violation. It's big. It will be against people that I have appreciated and have really a great deal of respect for, while I may not agree with on many occasions. I would like some help with this. If I'm offline, fine, but I will pursue it otherwise on my own, and I think that would not necessarily benefit the city. I think with some guidance, we can narrow it down. The specifics of the concerns will have to be brought up later because of time. I appreciate this, and I would also like to encourage everyone to stop using asphalt as ground cover and look out for the heat and artificial turf. Thank you.
Do I have anybody else? Okay, then I'm going to move on to agenda item 6. We're going to do approval of our minutes of April 16th, 2026. Does any member have any corrections or changes needed? Seeing none, Supervisor Giomi, a motion, please.
Move to approve Carson City Board of Supervisors meeting minutes from 16 April 2026 as presented.
I have a motion and a second for approval. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, say no. Let the record reflect it was unanimous. We're now on to our special presentations. If you all would join me on the floor, we'll do those for this morning. Okay, well, and I think the first one that we're going to work on is the Wildfire Awareness Month. Do you have a team that's going to join us? All right. Do you want to read that one? I thought he might. Try and let you, just on that one, just say Board of Supervisors.
Yeah, I got it.
I was going to say maybe
Season. All right, this is a proclamation recognizing May as Nevada Wildfire Awareness Month, whereas wildfire significantly impacts Nevada's environmental, economic, and social well-being, and whereas proactive wildfire preparedness efforts save lives, property, and natural resources, and whereas preparedness at the household and neighborhood level is one of the most effective ways to reduce wildfire impacts and protect lives, home, and critical infrastructure. And whereas preparing for wildfire includes managing vegetation, using fire-resistant building materials, and fostering community-wide collaboration to reduce risk, and whereas residents and stakeholders need to work together to prepare their homes and communities to survive wildfire and commit to becoming fire adapted. Now, therefore, on behalf of the Carson City Board of Supervisors, we proclaim the month of May 2026 as Nevada Wildfire Awareness Month and encourage all residents to take action, become battle-born wildfire.
Thank you, Supervisor Giomi. We'd like to take May as a chance for us to reach out to our residents and just say, hey, we have a ton of resources at the fire department that we want to partner with you. We want you to be prepared for the upcoming wildfire season. And so we just encourage you all, reach out to us. Mike talked a little bit about our defensible space inspections. That's a free service that we provide to everybody here in the city to just come out to your property. We just take a look. We give you some recommendations on how you can be better prepared for the season. As you know, our sheep are up in the hills already. They're doing what they do every year, and it's a great program as well, and they're just wrapping that up. But this morning, we have some partners that also offer some other services to our whole Northern Nevada community. And so they're going to say a few words. So first up, we have from NDF, Ron Boyer.
Thank you, Mayor, thank you. You know where I was yesterday. You can tell where I was yesterday. Okay, I would like to take this opportunity for Nevada Division of Forestry. I am the State Fire and Aviation Chief for the division. Again, our partnership with Carson City Fire Department and the Wildland Fire Fuels Program here is an outstanding relationship. We partner well together. The state really recognizes the work that the crew does. They've done extraordinary mitigation work across the front, right? We all can think back to Waterfall. They've all done extremely well on projects and should be recognized for their hard work and effort. And I think really long-term, the program has validity, and we would like to support that from the state side with, we do with funding and some other sources, equipment, that. So I live in Timberline, so yes, I would agree with the gentleman that sat here with Lakeview was dead on his assessments. And I really say from the state of Nevada Division of Forestry side, we're very appreciative of the program and the work and the mitigation efforts have gone across the county and the city. So thank you again, Mayor.
Thanks, Ron. The state has been a great partner with us, and so we really appreciate that. And next to say a few words is from Living with Fire, Megan Kay.
Hi, everyone. I did prepare some remarks because I don't get the opportunity often to sing the praises of our partners. So thought I'd get it right. First, I want to second everything Ron said about the crew. I've got, I haven't actually put on Nomex and carried a tool with them, but I've worked with them on outreach, and they are very competent in that arena too. So you guys should be proud. Okay, so my name is Megan Kay. Hi, Mayor. Hi, Board of Supervisors. I want to thank you for this proclamation. I am the program manager of the Living with Fire program at UNR Extension. We've been around since 1987, supporting our agencies and local partners, trying to help folks prepare for fire before it happens, and then also help recover after it happens. So as we all know, wildfire has always been a part of our history, especially in Carson City. Ron mentioned the Waterfall Fire. There's also more recently Prison Hill Fire, the Davis Fire. So wildfire is a reality where we live. These events continue to remind us that wildfire is not something that just happens somewhere else. It affects our landscapes, our air quality, our routines, and our communities that we call home. But living in a wildfire-prone area is possible. And it's not just about checklists. While creating defensible space, preparing for evacuation, those are all really important. It's also about being open to embracing what makes where we live unique, and recognizing that fire has long been a part of the story of these landscapes. The mountains, the trails, the open spaces, these have all been shaped by fire. We see, and by being open to creating opportunities for connection, like Mike was talking about, we can actually connect through our shared values of living with fire. So we see this happening. Mike talked about it a little bit in his community in Lakeview. There are other Firewise communities in Carson City, and folks that maybe aren't Firewise but are definitely working together to be more safe. So these efforts make our neighborhoods more resilient and safer. So I want to recognize Mike and all the other community leaders, as well as the fire department for their steadfast support of the communities. So yeah, I just want to recognize the Carson City Fire and all of our state, local, federal partners in this area. Yeah, and one more time, I want to thank the mayor and the Board of Supervisors for proclaiming May Nevada Wildfire Awareness Month. And also want to recognize Kimberly and the fire department and their effort for updating the community wildfire preparedness plan. which is a very important effort in making sure that we're working together, tracking our projects around wildfire resilience, and making sure that we are addressing any gaps and trying to reach all communities.
So both Megan and Ron are at every event that we have and a tremendous support. They're at workshops, they're teaching, and they're out there. So last, I just wanted to recognize our crew. They do a fantastic job, led by Kimberly, and they're the ones out there just doing the work all year round. So just a round of applause for them.
Okay, I'm going to put you on the spot. So if I lived in Timberline or Lakeview or an area that had issues, as a homeowner, what is the first thing you would tell me to do? What should I address or do?
Yeah, so we always just say, it's all about the vegetation around your property. So get a good defensible space. At least you can answer. Yeah. So clear the vegetation out. And if you have any question, 50 to 100 feet and clear up all the ladder fuels. So, and if you have any question, we're happy to come out and do a in-person inspection. So
no beautiful snowball bush next to your house.
up to your property, yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you all so much for all you do. It really, really, thank you for protecting us. And I know it's hard work too. It's not an easy project, but thank you for all that you do. Do we have more over there that want to come get in a picture? Spread it out a little, right? If we don't have a picture, it didn't happen. That's the rule. Yeah, it's like, let's get closer. Come on. So that we can see it. Come on. Where you want us? Anywhere we can get the picture to show. There you go. Yeah, no hiding in the corner. Thank you guys again for all that you do. Okay, we're going to move from the fire department to the courts. We'll switch out bodies, right? I think there's some people from the court I can see. Are you going to come up, Judge Lewis? And I thought I saw, there she is. I was going to say, I know I saw Judge Bruchetta, and it's okay, so come on up. This is another important thing I think we do in Carson City. But so this is a National Treatment Court and Mental Health Awareness Month. Whereas there are now more than 4,000 treatment courts nationwide, whereas treatment courts are the cornerstone of justice reform sweeping the nation. They serve more than 150,000 individuals each year, and it's recognized as the most successful justice system intervention in our nation's history. Whereas they save an average of $6,000 for every individual they serve. Whereas treatment courts substantially reduce addiction and related crime and do so at less expense than any other criminal justice strategy. And really proud of this one because we have 5 treatment courts in Carson City. We have the misdemeanor treatment court presided by Judge Tom Armstrong. We have the mental health court presided by Judge Melanie Bruchetta. We have the Western Regional DUI court and drug court presided by Judge Deborah Schumacher, and juvenile drug court presided by juvenile magistrate Kimberly O'Casey. And whereas Carson City currently has 65 participants within these 5 treatment courts and has had 30 graduations over the last 12 months. The treatment courts facilitate community-wide partnerships, bringing together public safety and public health professionals to improve education, employment, housing, promote family reunification, reduce foster care placements, and increase the rate of addicted mothers delivering babies who are fully drug and alcohol free. So our treatment courts demonstrate that when one person rises out of substance use and crime, we all rise. Now, therefore, I, Lori Bagwell, Mayor of Carson City, Nevada, on behalf of our Board of Supervisors, do hereby proclaim that May 2026 be established as National Treatment Court and Mental Health Awareness Month. They really do a fantastic job. I've had the privilege of the last few graduations of attending and seeing the community support and just the glow of the person that is doing just what that said, right? They're rising and they're so proud of the changes they're making in their life. And Judge Bouquet, I'm always honored that you invite me to do that. Are you making comments? Who's commenting? Anybody? Just, oh, no planned? Talk
No
about a
planned
graduate.
comments, but
Really?
I did
Tell
want to
them about
thank
a
you.
graduation.
So our graduations are open. Our next graduation is open to the public on July 8th. Thank you. And Mr. Bailey is also part of our mental health court team. I don't know why he's not standing up here. We appreciate his participation. It does take a team, and we really appreciate the Department of Alternative Sentencing. Right now, my mental health coordinator is out of town, and DAS has stepped up to cover those duties. So we have that backup, and we really appreciate it. But it's really important that the mayor is at our graduation, along with the board members. I encourage you to attend. The participants really enjoy seeing the community support, and we want to thank you for that.
Really, I just think it's amazing. And even though it might not seem like it's 50 graduates, how long does the program take? I think that's the other amazing piece, is the dedication of the individual to want to change their life, right? And that's not an easy task. It's not a 1 month and, oh, I just did this for 30 days and she's giving me a chip. It's not that way, because how long do they have to work through the process?
So for mental health court, it's a minimum of 18 months, but it could go longer. Just depends.
Right.
Did you guys
really quite the commitment.
say something?
Sure. So I oversee the juvenile drug court. I've been doing that for many years, and I want to thank the board and the city for this recognition, ongoing recognition and support, because what the people in the program, to include the juveniles, receive is they receive the education, and they receive structure and support to guide them through this, which ultimately gives them the tools that they need to, really address the challenges that they're facing in their life. And in terms of time frame, it can be a year. We try to shoot for that year time frame. It kind of does depend on the individual, where they're at. We try to meet them where they're at, because you can also overdo treatment with people as well. And our stakeholders that support that program are the district attorney's office, juvenile probation, the district PD's office, as well as mental health professionals in our community. So appreciate everybody's support with this. It really does matter. And our juveniles they're so impressive. They're so resilient going through what they're going through. I think we think of adults as going through drug and addiction and alcohol issues, but you'd be surprised of how young it starts. And so this support matters. Like you said, we can give them those tools, and hopefully they figure out how to use them with some guidance. So thank you for your support.
All right. She has a proclamation. That one's yours. I see where hers is when I go to the graduations, how important it is. There you go. I was going to say, are we missing anyone in the picture? Do we have come on. There's the courts. Do we have anybody? District Attorney's Office? Come on. I think that what was said is so accurate. It's not any one partnership that makes it happen. It takes everybody on the team working to the success of the individual, and then the individual being able to receive that help, right? So it takes all of it. So am I missing anyone else? Do we have any mental health? We got them all? All right, let's have a picture. thank you all for all that you do in the time. Thanks. Well, you came prepared? Okay, now it's our time to do our length of service certificates. And this one, I'm like, what? I know every time I see these and how many years they have, I'm just in shock. So how about Kelly Hale, our environmental control foreman? Is this right? 20 years? Does she look like she could have 20 years in? I thought 10, and I kept looking at this going, that's a typo. Thank you so much for all you do for us.
Thank you
And
very
I'm
much.
sure Rick has some illuminating words.
I might have a couple. So Kelly's in our environmental control group, and they're kind of a group that nobody knows really about. They're the ones that go out to businesses, make sure there's no illicit discharge coming into our treatment plant to foul that up. They test all our drinking water. They come out to the landfill, do our water monitoring, our methane monitoring. They run our household hazardous waste program out there. They do kind of a million things. Anything hazmat related, they get involved in. Some of the weird things they do when people move into a house or inherit a house, people tend to call and say, I've got this unmarked thing of liquid. Can you guys come check out what it is and what do I do with it? Kelly and her group are the ones that get on that. So saying a lot of nice things are good, but we only have 3 weeks left with her. She's actually retiring next month. I had to preempt you on that. So Kelly's going to move into retirement and move into that other, yep. So Kelly, thank you for everything you've done. We appreciate your service. Thanks.
Now she is getting a stink eye. No, okay. Well, thank you, but stay up here. Okay, how about Tanya Petrie, our utility billing specialist? 15 years. Wow, thank you. Wait, there's a test. 15 in, how many more to go? 2. It is, it even got worse, less than. This is not working out today. We're going to have colored certificates that, thank you so much for what you do for us.
So Tanya took a weird path to get to us. She was with the animal services group for quite a while, working with the Pups on Parole?
Yes.
Pups on Parole. Anyway, working with inmates and training dogs and whatnot. And when the city ran that, when the city turned that over to the Humane Society, she reluctantly came to utility billing. Not sure whether a desk job was her thing or not. She has owned it since she's come to us. She's actually one of our lead people and somebody we rely on heavily for customer service and research, just weird stuff, trying to figure things out. And then on a kind of a personal note with Public Works, she's in charge of managing our wildlife, feeding our birds, making sure everybody's plants don't die, and also feeding us with fresh sourdough bread on Mondays. So yes, only got less than a couple years, but we'll miss her. But congratulations and thanks for what you've done for us. Thanks for sticking around.
Okay, I don't think I knew the sourdough bread part. We have been missing out here. You have a valid comment there. Okay, how about Tyler Jesse, our asset manager? Tyler, wow, 10 years. Wow, you are doing great things. I can say a word or two. Just what great demonstrations I've had the privilege of seeing that Tyler and his team put together on behalf of the city. And I know that if you use our website and you're looking for items on maps or things of that nature, Tyler is your guy. He is really trying hard to be both efficient for staff to be able to do their jobs and find things, but also for the public. So thank you again so much for all you do. Go ahead, Tom. Wait, 10 more years?
At least, yes. So Tyler's come to us for the last 5 years. He's been leading that group, the GIS group, as it grows, and we're doing more stuff. Right now, they're in the middle of a asset management plan for wastewater. Next year, they got a couple more plans they got to do. When it comes to emergency management folks, any of our big events, him and his staff are the ones that put together the graphics and deal with that kind of stuff. A lot of the data you see, especially when it comes to public works, comes out of this group. They're the ones that track it, manage it, keep it up and going so you can find things. One of the things we did, just show how dynamic this group is, we were looking at a software to track and manage snow events. About $80,000 a year for the software that we may or may not use like this year. Tyler's the one that asked us, well, what do you really want it to do? And he's the one that, with a consultant, put it together and developed a app for us to actually use, and saving considerable money, and it does what we want it to do. So the group has been very dynamic, and we hope to have you for, yes, many more years to come. Thank you.
We're shooting for more. Okay, and this one has a different nickname, but well, yeah, I know. Do I say it out loud, right?
No.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Okay, how about Sherry Russell Benaboo, our Chief Financial Officer with 15 years? I don't know. So yeah, I could do it. From Eagle Eye to Dragon Lady. Thank you for all you do. Right? No, she really works tirelessly to put the numbers together. And I can attest, having been in those roles before, there's so many numbers, and it's so hard if one changes on page 50, did it roll up to the summary, and all of that. But just really thank you for that steadfast, even though it might be 10 o'clock at night or something, you go, those numbers are looking smaller. But cross-eyed. Yeah.
So thank you. I get the honor of talking about Sherry today. And I just want to say, the public sees Sherry a lot in our board meetings when she comes forward with our tentative and our final budget, as well as with our annual comprehensive financial report. But there's many, many more things she does behind the scenes that aren't necessarily seen by everybody. Sherry is a valuable member of our internal finance committee. She is always there to guide us during our collective bargaining negotiations. And her department also does a tremendous amount of work with our grants, federal, state, and local, overseeing that, all the ARPA dollars that came into the city over the last several years, and our risk management. So there's a lot of things that Sherry and her department are responsible for. We joke a bit about her nickname that was given to her by Mayor Bob, but she really wears that with a badge of honor because she is the guardian of the city's budget. She is conservative in her budgeting. We know when we come to her and say, can we do this? Are we going to be okay? That we're going to get the right answer from Sherry, and she guards the money as if it's her own. And so she really has kept us in such a strong financial state over the last 15 years. So it has really been my pleasure to work with her more this year than I did in the past, as she's one of my direct reports now. She's very patient with me because I don't come from the financial background, but she's constantly looking for ways that we can improve our processes. She's been doing Budget 101 trainings internally to bring our staff, give them more background and information, and then she helped us significantly improve our internal processes this year. So we are very happy to have Sherry on our team. Her integrity and her dedication are unmatched.
Okay, we have Denise Scholl, an office specialist, 10 years. Wow. If I asked, are you going to give us some more years? I'm scared. I'm getting scared, you guys, to ask because they keep telling me, oh, yeah, less than 2. Are you going to stick around longer? There you go, with confidence and with heart. Thank you so much for your service and dedication. Thank you.
All right, so Denise actually started with us as a provider. So she started with our medical transport team that did service out of the hospital and actually was a supervisor for that unit. And so now she has moved on and she's doing our medical billing. So she's in our EMS division, handling all of our billing. And so she understands both sides of it. And that's very important in that role because you know what's happening out on the street. And so Denise is a kind spirit, and that's the best way to describe her. She's an absolute joy to have in the office. She just brings everybody up. She's a pleasure to work with. And when you work in billing, people are not always thrilled when you receive a phone call, but they're met with Denise, who meets them with empathy and compassion and just that kindness. And so, Denise, thank you so much for all that you do for us, and we just love having you in the office. So, yeah, you got it.
I just want to know, are you a sourdough bread kind of person? I'm not, no. I'm getting this new other theme that, that's going to be on the hiring application, is do you make that bread? Okay, how about with 5 years of service, Chase Weatherington from our Wildland engine operator. How perfect for today. Thank you so much for all you do.
And then there's Chase. Sourdough. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Totally. He's here. So Chase is currently a driver on our Wildland Fuels crew. And so what's cool about that is he started as a firefighter, and he was our first promotion within the division of the Wildland Fuels division. So he actually worked his way up, and that's because of his work ethic and his dedication to the program. He's so reliable in that spot. And as a driver operator of this equipment that you see, you're actually the one that is in charge of looking out for the safety of your crew. And so it's that diligence, that attention to detail, and that proficiency with all the equipment that we have. And in fact, he actually got to put that on display last week when we had a little incident up there on Prison Hill. And he did a fantastic job with that. And I think one of his crew's favorite qualities is that sense of humor that he brings to the crew, which is in abundance. And so he's just an absolute joy to have and to be around. And we just thank you so much for your service, bud. Thank you, Chief.
Come on, get in the picture. Come on. You don't get to hide. Picture, come on in. We like to celebrate. It is worthy of celebration, right? Do we have a big group? Yeah, you're out of luck here today, Stacy. All right. Thank you so much, Deanna. Thank you all again. All right. Oh,
Thank you very much.
retiring.
Oh, sweet. Thank you.
Take care.
I
Really.
will. Thank you.
Think they're going to be with you forever. Just a moment to clear through and try not to break the microphone. Okay, we're going to move on then to our consent agenda. I didn't have any requests, but just in case, no? Okay, Supervisor Giomi, a motion, please.
I move to approve our consent agenda consisting of item 8A, 9A, 10A, 11A, 12A, 12B, 12C, 12D, 12E, 12F, 12G, 12H, 13A, 13B, and 13C, all as presented.
Woo, that was a mouthful today. Do I have a second? I have a motion and a second for approval. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Let the record reflect it was unanimous. Okay, we're now going to move on to agenda item 15A. This is where we will appoint a member to the CTA for our citizen at large position. I think I saw Andrew earlier, yep. And then there was, is it Marvin Flores? Marlon? Oh, Marlon. Marlon, can you do me a favor, just because we don't like people to hear each other's answers? I don't know, somebody might think it's unfair. If you would go out, that would be wonderful, and then Miss Hicks will get you when it's your turn. Thank you so much. Come on up. Okay, you've been through this before, so you know how the process is going to work.
I have, thank you.
Thanks for interviewing again. It's not a requirement, but I appreciate that you wanted to talk to us about the CTA. So I'm going to do it a little bit different, just to surprise her and see if she's listening. Supervisor Schutte, do you want to go first? Oh,
Sure.
oh, wait, excuse me, I didn't realize that. Supervisor White, do you have a disclosure?
Yes, I apologize. Already
Oh, okay.
in this issue, NRS requires me to disclose a conflict of interest. As the president of the Nevada State Prison Preservation Society, I contract with the CTA for promotional issues. However, I do not have a fiduciary income from the Nevada State Prison Preservation Society, so I do not believe this is a disqualifying conflict, and I will be voting on this matter.
Thank you so much for the disclosure.
Again, apologize for the delayed realization that I had a conflict.
Sometimes you read a line and it goes, what? Yeah.
Yeah.
No problem. Supervisor Schutte, would you do us the honor of kicking off the interviews?
Absolutely. Thank you for reapplying. We appreciate it so much. My question, please share an example of where you feel the city is excelling in promoting tourism, and what is it that you believe makes that promotion successful?
Honestly, I think it's the art and culture portion behind it. In the past, up until probably about 3 to 4 years ago, the art and culture in the tourism wasn't as prevalent as it is right now. But with them partnering with the Brewery Art Center, the surrounding areas, we've been getting a lot more questions, especially when we're traveling and on the road. So that's been a very big benefit.
Great, thank you.
Supervisor Horton.
Good morning.
Andrew, what's the most important thing we can do as far as the next steps go to improve the operation?
Next step is expansion beyond the borders that we're working right now. So right now we've been very good, well, the CTA has been very good with partnering with outside areas like Douglas, Washoe County, Lake Tahoe, Virginia City. I think we need to expand that area because if you look into Yosemite, San Francisco, the Bay Area, the tourism going on over there right now is really starting to expand. And when you get people from the East Coast, the Midwest, the South coming in, and I think I answered this, I think I talked about this last time, but when they go back to the Midwest or the East Coast, they're very upset realizing that they were so close to Lake Tahoe, Virginia City, and not seeing it. I mean, they're only 2 to 3 hours away. And that's been an issue when I'm doing appointments. People don't realize how close we are. So I think that's the next step to expanding room nights.
Great. Thank you.
Supervisor White.
Thank you. What segments of the industry do you see growing the most, and how does Carson City capitalize on that?
Right now, motor coach. The motor coach business is, Since COVID, it's had a real big decrease because they weren't part of any bailouts like the airlines were. So a lot of the motor coach companies across the country have gone out of business. They didn't get any funding to help get them through that. So a lot of them went out and completely went out of business. It's starting to expand again. A lot of people are buying those up, but some of the California regulations is making it very expensive. So to go through California to get to Nevada, there's so many environmental regulations that it would cost some of them 30 to 40 million to upgrade all their motor coaches. So it's been a real big issue, but most of it, we're getting into a point now to where most of them are being built with those regulations. So it's starting to expand again. So I think it's a place I know that the CTA is focusing on it. But I think that's the next big step.
Thank you.
Supervisor Giommi.
Hi, Andrew.
Good morning.
Can you tell me what you see as our strongest cultural or tourism asset? And what are your thoughts to promote that?
Well, I think there's two of them. Right now, that's a tough one. Right now, a lot of people are taking a major interest in the state prison and the Stewart Indian School. So I think we had 9 people, international tourism people from different countries come in last month, and they were in awe of the Stewart Indian School and had a lot of questions about the prison. So I think those are 2 big ones. And that's kind of where I think it's going. And, well, I take it back. And sports. Youth sports is booming for us right now. And not just us, but Jacobs Entertainment is building 8 new soccer fields at the J. And there's a reason for that. Because when you get a convention into Washoe County, every hotel casino has their little conventions or their sports groups. But now it's becoming more of a citywide event. So one volleyball tournament will fill every hotel room in Washoe County. And that's starting to move on to soccer, rugby, and with us expanding or redoing the fields, that's kind of another focus we're looking at.
Thank you.
Okay, let's see. I have to work for a question. It is not fun being last because you all did great on your questions. I'll take a slightly different tactic.
Okay.
When you have programs that you've been doing for a long time and funding in the CTA, what process would you go through to determine whether you should continue funding it?
One, local interest. If the locals aren't behind it, it's not worth doing it. Because the locals and the citizens can make or break any event that we do. So I think getting local approval is a huge thing. And luckily, we've gotten a lot of support from the community leaders, and from the local businesses. So I think looking at that is a big thing. And then for existing ones, if they're making a profit, it's real basic. If they're making a profit, stick with it. And I think we put in their goals for this year. We took it from creating new events to creating or expanding new events. So I think expansion of existing events is a big deal. And I think we need to really focus on that too.
Okay, thank you so much. Now's your opportunity to just talk to us about why you want to continue doing this, or anything you think we haven't asked you, or anything you want to put on the record.
I will say, when I took the role 2 years ago, I really walked into it thinking I knew everything. Come to find out I did not. So I'm learning a lot, but I have a lot of advice to give. So working together as a group, the first 2 months of doing it, I was really intimidated by Mr. Giommi. But after that, I got my feet wet, and I think we're moving in the right direction.
Thank you so much. Well, we'll make our decision after we interview the other candidate. And again, thank you so much for the current service, and we'll see where this
You got it.
goes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Flores. Hi. Good morning. You just have to push the button once and it'll turn green. Perfect. Have you been through an appointment process before, or is this your first?
No, it's my first.
Okay, what we're going to do is ask you a series of questions to help elicit your why and whether we think you'll be a great fit for this position. And then at the end, you're more than welcome to tell us all about yourself or why you want the job. And the job, I did call it a job, even though it's free and it's an appointment, but still, it will feel like work, I assure you.
Awesome.
But worthy work. So today, we're going to start in an opposite direction of what we normally do. So Supervisor Schutte is going to ask the first question.
Great, and thank you so much for applying.
Thank you.
So my question is, please share an example of where you feel the city is excelling in promoting tourism, and what do you believe makes it so successful?
Awesome. So I've worked firsthand with Visit Carson City on a few different projects they've done. So my wife and I joined basically a group with them last year. We've gone to a few of the meetings and seen some of the things that they put together. I love some of the Tamale Fest that it is here. This last year was super awesome. I thought it brought a little bit new jive to the city, which was super great. So seeing kind of new activities come, I think that's kind of going to be the big focus that we really need to have as a city, to draw more to the city, to create it more of an exciting spot where people want to come and spend time. Yeah.
Supervisor Horton.
Good morning. What's the most important thing to do next in order to improve this operation?
So the most important thing to approve this what do you mean by this stop?
Tourism.
The tourism.
The overall
I think we have to, honestly, I think I've been in Carson my whole life. You know, I'm 38 years old and I grew up between here and Dayton. And to me, I think it's being recognized as a place to stop and be in as well. I think that everybody heads towards Reno, towards Washoe. Douglas County has a lot of pull as well. I think that we are we're in kind of the best place to be able to bring in more tourism. So I think it's just creating the right activities. I think it's creating the right draw, getting the younger demographics more involved and having them come in and understand that, hey, you know, it's a place where you can have fun too. It's not just another place that is, you know, another bar or anything. It's just fun, you know, making it family friendly, really focusing in on the family aspect of it as well.
Supervisor White.
Thank you. Good morning.
Morning.
What part of the tourist industry do you think is growing the most, and how does Carson City capitalize on that?
I think I've been able to travel across the United States and across the world, and I think where we are, where there is opportunity, I think in the tourism aspect of it would be, I think there has to be more draw when it comes to food. I think that's huge. I think when it comes to, I think people like to experience, you know, different items, different experiences when they go somewhere. I know for myself, my family, when we go anywhere, of course, we're not set up for infrastructure like a theme park or anything like that. But there are other ways that we can do and bring in more traffic. I do think creating experiences more than anything, creating festivals of some sort to draw things in. I have a few different that I've been playing with for the last 3 years that I think would help bring in kind of a more drive and just more excitement, I think. So I think the experience aspect of it is the biggest key factor when it comes to any kind of tourism.
Thank you.
Supervisor Giomi.
Thank you. Marlon, thank you for applying.
Yeah.
Can you tell me what you think is the strongest cultural or tourism asset, and what should be done to promote that asset or assets?
So give me a little bit more of is it more like more assets like?
Well, what do you think is our strongest feature, if you will, and what should we do to promote it?
I think
from a tourism or cultural.
Yeah, I think the beauty of where we're sitting. I mean, we're sitting in. I've stood in the middle of Mills Park and seen how beautiful our city is. I mean, I think that there's a lot of beauty in the exterior of it. I love what we're already doing with the roads. I think that's going to be awesome to create more bike paths, more bike lanes for the city to be able to, extend on that. I think our beauty of how our city is, I think that to extend it, once again, I would go more to the experience side of it, being able to bring more opportunities, something different than what we've seen in the past. And that's where I hope to be able to come in and be able to bring some of those ideas and hopefully be able to flourish them out to bring a different vibe to it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for
Yeah,
applying.
thank you.
So there's many programs that the CTA already supports. What do you think should be utilized to determine if we should continue that funding on existing programs?
I think is getting the public's knowledge on it. I think surveys are huge. I think understanding what people really find as appealing is kind of the number one thing. I think being able to understand looking at other cities, what's driving them, and really understanding is that fitting within the realm of what's making them successful and what's driving tourism to their specific area. So I think looking at the overall picture on how it's affecting across, not just our city, but all other cities that do have the tourism coming in or our underlying counties right outside and what's helping them and just kind of adapting some of those into our area.
Great, thank you. So now it's your opportunity to just tell us the why or any information you want us to utilize before we make our decision.
Yeah. So for me, really quick, I've been in Carson City and Dayton my whole life. I've grown up here. I've seen it grow from a town of like 20,000 people to where we are right now. And that's huge. And I think that the last thing I want to do is be left behind. I think we have such an opportunity here where there's a lot of growth. There's a lot of way to get a lot of the younger generations really involved in it. A lot of them now they're all tech savvy, they're all, everybody's looking online, looking at TikTok, looking at Snap, or figuring out where they're going to go based on that. And I think that's where there's a huge opportunity for us is to really capture the new age of that newer generation. And if we can capture it, I mean, it's going to take us to the next level. It's going to be able to bring more business here where we can establish more commerce, where we can have more restaurants opening up, more experience options for different, more family-friendly things. And I think that's what the city is missing. I think that we play to our demographic, and I understand that. But there is another realm and another wave that we haven't really gotten there yet. And I'm hoping to be able to be a part of that and hoping to help, it grow in that direction. So.
Great. Thank you so much for
Thank you.
interviewing and doing such a great job.
Thank you all. Have a good day.
Okay. Now it's up to us to, it makes it really tough. We, generally speaking, unless there's an issue, we do a reappointment of candidates that request, and I really appreciate that Andrew was willing to actually interview again. And I found Mr. Flores to be refreshing and idea-oriented. Sorry we don't have multiple, because it's like, wow, right? You could get a couple of really good
Well,
ones
that's
here.
what I was looking
Oh.
to see if we could finagle both of them on, because I know Andrew works in the hotel motel industry, but the law says that it has to be someone representing hotel motel industry in the county,
Right.
not just in general. So
Citizen
I
at
was
large.
hoping there was a way we could get both of them on there because I found both of them. I mean, obviously, I know Andrew and his contribution, and Marlon seems well-spoken and energetic, and it's truly one of those scenarios where we're blessed with too much good stuff and nowhere to put them. But I'll support Andrew's reappointment. I know his work, and I think he's extremely valuable. So, and not that Marlon wouldn't be. I just Andrew's knowledge of the industry gives him a slight edge, in my opinion.
Anybody else?
I would echo those sentiments, and I would say, Marlon, please stay involved. I mean, if you weren't up against an industry insider, you're a shoo-in. Seriously, I really want to see you back here looking to be appointed, and even without that, stay in the community, keep pushing, join those groups like you said you were doing. I really appreciate that community effort.
Okay, so
I agree 100%. And Marlon, one thing you said that it's really, I love it, being recognized as a place to stop and be. Thank you for stating that, because I think that is an amazing goal. And I know our culture and tourism, that really is the objective. So thank you for describing it so perfectly. But I also feel that at this point, the reappointment is, I support that. Thank you.
okay, with that, did you want to comment? Supervisor Horton?
I wanted to say thank you to both candidates, and Marlon, outstanding job. I encourage you to look forward to other opportunities and stay involved. Thank you so much for your presentation. You know, I can't tell you how tough it is with two great candidates, you know, to make these kind of decisions, but it's always great to see folks who are interested in the community, who want to do well and serve our citizens. So continue on.
Yeah, I'll add the same thing, Marlon. Keep your eyes open for those volunteer opportunities. Parks and Rec, open space. I mean, we have a lot of them. Audit committee, that's right, of all of the committees, the audit committee, right up here. You get on the audits like a king. It's like wearing a crown, man. All right, I'm ready to make a motion, unless you have a comment there.
No,
Yeah,
not after that.
yeah. No, you
Okay.
can't do any better
Well,
than the
audit
audit
was my
committee, Marlon.
favorite. I
Yeah.
could say that honestly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Supervisor Giomi, a motion, please.
All right, I move to appoint Andrew Reno for a 2-year term starting on June 6, 2026, and expiring on June 5, 2028.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for Mr. Reno's appointment. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, say no. Let the record reflect it was unanimous. But I am positive we'll find somewhere for you, Mr. Flores. Yeah. You will learn more in audit
That's
than
true.
any other committee. I will,
Although when I
Pardon.
joined, Stacy said to me, "Bless you."
bless you. But thank you both so very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, everybody still good? We'll keep moving. Okay, we're now on agenda item 16A. This is a presentation from the fire chief and stuff on our annual Wildlands Fuel Division report. Chief Nyberg? And
All right, good morning again.
good morning.
Kevin Nyberg, Acting Fire Chief for the record. Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, so this morning we get the chance to brag a little bit more on our fantastic Wildland Fuels Division. And so, you know, we made it a little bit change to the program a little bit ago, taking it from a seasonal program to a full-time program year-round with full-time crews. And as part of that, the commitment back was we're going to give you an annual report. So we're doing that. To say we're proud of this program is an understatement. And I think you saw that with the partnerships and the community outreach. We have really good friends in every community, and that's because this program gives us the opportunity to be out in the neighborhoods and have that personal touch with the communities and property owners and just making sure that they are educated and seeing what they need and just having that true partnership come together. So it's a great team within the fire department. It's a great team within the city, and we're just really proud of it. So with all that, I'm going to turn it over to the brains of the operation. And Kimberly has just done a fantastic job taking this program to the next level, and she's going to take us through the annual report.
Ms.
Kimberly
Fahey,
Fahey.
please.
So today I'm just sharing a brief highlights over the report that was included in the packet, an update on the city's fuel reduction programs and a couple of the key accomplishments. Let's see, the Wildland Division focuses on reducing wildfire risk in Carson City. Our mission is pretty simple: to protect people, homes, and infrastructure by reducing hazardous fuels and supporting defensible space. We work closely with federal and state partners who provide statewide technical expertise, programs for residents, and support of our fuel projects. The national data and the city's emergency mitigation plan clearly identifies wildfire as the community's single greatest threat. Carson City sits in the wildland-urban interface and has a very high risk of wildfire, higher than 98% of counties in the United States. We have steep slopes, heavy fuels, and strong winds, all factors increasing wildfire risk. Reducing fuels and improving defensible space are two of the most effective ways to protect homes and evacuation routes. Our work falls in three main areas that you've heard about today: fuel reduction work, education and outreach, and our trailer and dumpster program. Last year, we treated over 380 acres through hand thinning, mastication, which is mulching the brush, and pile burning. Defensible space inspections, over 150 were completed, and community workshops held. We also collected over 200 tons of biomass. All of this supports our larger goal of building a fire-adapted community. This slide reflects some of our larger interagency projects and accomplishments last year. We've worked with Department of Parks, Rec, and Open Space, as well as Public Works and Emergency Services. This year, we have a very well-defined set of projects across high-risk areas in the city. We continue advancing our core fuel reduction projects and strive to reduce our efficiency across high-risk priority areas. We are positioned to leverage federal grants to support long-term risk and resilience, and interagency coordination remains a major focus, working with our partners in Parks, Rec, and Open Space and Public Works to maintain safe, healthy open spaces and to protect critical infrastructure. Overall, 2026 is shaping up to be a year defined by strong partnerships and the ability to mitigate and reduce wildfire across the community. Thank you. Is there any questions?
Cool. Happy to take any questions on the program.
Does any member have any questions? Supervisor Schutte.
Yeah, I just have a comment. The fuel abatement grants are amazing. And as somebody who lives in the Prison Hill neighborhood impacted by the most recent fire, you know, I see trailers in our neighborhood quite often, and the dumpster and residents actively pulling out the dead fuels and making that defensible space. And it really is so appreciated, and thank you. And when new people move into the area, I let them know about it. And you know, we have an opportunity in this community to all work together to be more fire safe. And so thank you for making it much easier to do the right thing.
So if a member of the public wants one of the trailers or the dumpsters to be able to do the cleanup on their property, do they have to live in a specific area to be eligible for that? Or is it anywhere that they can do fuel reduction?
It's primarily geared to people that live within the wildland-urban interface. However, the communities that have worked hard to become designated fire-wise communities, we've also grandfathered them into the program so that it's a benefit. If they do the work to become a fire-wise community, they're eligible for the program. So really just calling to see if they're eligible is the best way.
And what do you have to do to be fire-wise? Is that working with us or with the university program? How do you?
They work with us. So FireWise is a nationwide program where it brings together the communities to create a small board that's committed to educating their neighbors and fuel reduction work. They come up with a 3-year plan, and then they stick to it. So it's kind of holding your neighbor accountable. And then they get a FireWise designation, which does give some benefits if there's any concerns or if they're struggling with insurance. It can help support insurance needs.
Yeah, I think I heard from several neighbors that the insurance companies are starting to send letters saying they are not going to insure them any longer because of where they live. And so I'm overly concerned that we may see that becoming a prevalent issue. And so I think it's wonderful if there's opportunities for those neighborhoods to help themselves to be able to retain insurance. So they would just contact the main number at the fire department?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank
And
you.
I would encourage them to request a defensible space inspection as well. We've helped provide letters and showing, I mean, there is a reason why the insurance companies for most part are reaching out, but we can help them educate on what needs to happen. And then we can document that they've done that work, and then they can resubmit to the insurance agents.
Okay, thank you. Supervisor Giomi.
Yeah, I know in a lot of places there, the insurance companies are sending letters out and have never been in that community. They're blanket letters. So
Drone.
really the strength is in encouraging people to call the fire department, have them come out and do an assessment. So you've got a professional who's done an assessment on your property, gives you the opportunity to combat your insurance company. Maybe combat's a strong word, but counteract your insurance company's assertion that you have issues. And I was just going to compliment you on those inspections, because I think that's we did a small amount of those back in the day, but I think they're vitally important to the program because they give that homeowner professional opinion. And it's hard to beat that one-on-one interaction where you actually get to talk to them and point to something that says this shouldn't be here or that's okay. Because I think people are reluctant to get rid of trees, or reluctant to remove things that they don't have to remove. So I compliment you on those, and I think that's really a good direction, because I think it's something that they can really use to help with their insurance and hopefully keep those rates down. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Shiva.
Yeah, and just to kind of tag on to that is, if we say 50 to 100 feet for a property, it's like, do you have to take out every single tree, every plant? No, that's not what it is. We don't, we come out, we give an honest assessment and say, what's practical for your property to protect against fire, and how can you limb up a tree so that it can stay and get the proper spacing. And I just wanted to point out one other thing, an added benefit to this program that we have seen. We got to see it to its fullest potential last week when we were able to pull in those crews off of project work and actually send them to the Prison Hill fire. And so instantly we were able to add 2 more assets to go and fight the fire, and that had a tremendous impact on keeping the fire smaller and out of the home. So just a great program all around. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, I don't see any other questions. Thank you so much for your report and the good work. Okay. We are going to move now to agenda item 17A, which is action for our final budget for fiscal year 2027. Mr. Horton, may I have your disclosure, please?
Sure. Dan, I'll get with you later on how short Mo's disclosure was, so we'll touch base. NRS 281A 420 requires me to disclose a conflict and abstain from voting when I have a disqualifying conflict. This agenda item is for the purpose, the proposed Carson City fiscal year 2027 final budget, which includes the general fund, special revenue funds, enterprise funds, and all other budgeted funds in the city. My 2 sons are employed by the city as firefighters, and their salaries are funded by the general fund. While I do have this familial relationship, this agenda item is a routine procedural matter for the broader purpose of taking action on the city's overall budget, and my son's salaries are being considered along with other employees' salaries in the aggregate. There is no discussion specific to my son's individual salaries, nor is there any discussion specifically related to their employee positions. Additionally, Nevada's ethics laws give appropriate deference to the public policy of the state, which favors the right of the public official to perform the duties for which the public official was elected or appointed, and to vote because abstention disrupts the normal course of representative government. Since abstention is only required in clear cases where the independence of judgment of a reasonable person in my situation would be materially affected, and I do not believe that to be the case, because this agenda matter concerns a broad policy consideration related to budgetary issues as a whole. I make this disclosure for full transparency, but will be voting.
Thank you. Supervisor Schutte, the same thing with a different name.
There
Go
you
ahead.
go. Ditto.
Yeah.
NRS 281A.420 requires me to disclose a conflict and abstain from voting when I have a disqualifying conflict. This agenda item is for the proposed Carson City fiscal year 2027 final budget, which includes the general fund, special revenue funds, enterprise funds, and all other budgeted funds in the city. My nephew, Chris Martinovich, is the city's transportation manager, and his salary is funded by the Regional Transportation Fund and the Fleet Management Fund. While I do have a familial relationship with Chris, this is a routine procedural matter for the broader purpose of taking action on the city's overall budget, and my nephew's salary is being considered along with other employees' salaries in the aggregate. There is no discussion specific to Chris's individual salary, nor is there any discussion specifically related to the position of transportation manager. Additionally, Nevada's ethic law gives appropriate deference to the public policy of this state, which favors the right of a public official to perform the duties for which the public official was elected or appointed, and to vote because abstention disrupts the normal course of representative government. Since abstention is only required in clear cases where the independence of judgment of a reasonable person in my situation would be materially affected, and I do not believe that to be the case because this agenda matter concerns broad policy considerations related to budgetary issues as a whole, I make this disclosure for full transparency, but will be voting.
Thank you so much. Ms. Benaboo, would you like to take us through this item, please?
Thank you very much, Mayor. This spreadsheet I have in front of you, and the item today is approval of the final budget. It's bringing the changes from the tentative budget to the final budget. And I'll go through those changes pretty quickly here. The supplemental requests that were approved on April 16th are added to this. The capital improvements were moved to various line items that will be spent out of. Again, those were approved on April 16th. There was one little temporary staffing change of $5,062. It was in the library, and it was just a line item that somehow got changed, and so we moved it back to the where it should be. There was, as discussed in the meeting on April 16th, there were a few capital items that we're going to leave in the general fund, one being the $200,000 for the professional services of a legal to do the title updates or the CCMC updates. There was $44,000 that is sheriff's restricted money that is going to be used for the coroner's office to purchase a vehicle. And then $83,606 for the public defender's office, which will be reimbursed to the general fund through the state. So these items we did not transfer to capital. We left them in the general fund as just capital purchased directly from the general fund. And then the only other big one was the Street and Highway Infrastructure Fund. Also, we discussed this on April 16 that we did find the money. So we were able to move $533,000 from undesignated in the current year and make sure it's available next year. So we have the full $3.1 million for local streets and highways. And then there is one final page. Sorry, I forgot about this. The one final page I added was a slight change to the court administrator positions being requested. Initially, they were starting on December 1st, but the courts had asked if they could change the dates on there a little bit. They had some internal retirements and court clerk issues, and so they're going to try to hire those court clerks a little earlier in August and hold off on hiring the marshal until next year, fiscal year 28. I did not change the budget because I don't want to lose that marshal position that was approved, so it will roll forward and it will still be included in fiscal year 28.
We're just changing start dates for
Yes,
positions.
just start
that's
dates
all.
for positions.
This approval would be to change the start dates.
It would just change the start date, and if, there's no, if they hire them at the requested hiring rate, it should save us a little bit of money.
And was there one position change of title too?
There
From
was,
a-
the judicial assistant, they're no longer going to hire, they're going to hire a senior clerk instead.
And the net result is a reduction?
It's a reduction about $7,700.
Well, I'm happy for them to participate in our general fund savings, okay? Thank you. All right.
And those are the only changes unless there's any other questions.
Does any member have a question? No? You don't have something. Okay, is there any public comment on the budget? Mr. French?
Denny French, Carson City, thank you. The reconciliation of changes from the tentative to the final FY '27 budget, I don't believe that was part of the presentation, but I was just wondering, what does that mean? So is there a person that could, did I get it out of the wrong? This is the paper I'm going from, and I didn't get the page number. Okay, I'm sorry, that's the next part. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Is there anyone else? Seeing none, I'll bring it here for a motion. Does somebody, Supervisor Giomi? Oh, that was
I
a
move to
tie.
approve the Carson City final budget for fiscal year 2027 as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Let the record reflect it was unanimous. Another year down. Okay, we're now going to move on to agenda item 17B for possible action on the deletion of capital assets. Ms. Benaboo, you wanted some direction here?
Yes, thank you. So this item is something that we bring towards the board usually during the annual audit. It's just a list of deletions. There's really no action on it because they've already been deleted. So if you tell me no, I can't go out and get the vehicle that's already been auctioned off. But it is a list to let you know what we're doing and when. And so what I'm looking for, because I had this great idea to bring them as part of the capital plan, and, so there'd be some synergy there. You'd see what we deleted and then what we're looking to buy. And then I forgot because the budget is a huge project with a lot of items that I have to bring. So my apologies. I am bringing it today, but I kind of was wondering if that seemed like a good idea, and I will promise to bring it during the budget next time, or if you prefer to hear it during the audit, or just looking from some direction as to when you would like to hear it.
So I like it, I don't know. I like it with the audit because it's the picture, it's always what happened,
Okay.
right? And so the audit's the final for the fiscal year, the deletions for the year. I think that all fits as a audit type of activity, and you're required to have that even for the auditors to show compliance, right? That we're keeping our inventories and assets counted.
Yeah,
And I
they
think
do
it's
audit our
important during an audit process that the public recognizes that we do track our assets, that they're not leaving us. And we really want those people on the audit committee. That's just a anyway, just a recommendation. But I like it with the audit because I think it fits the whole year. And then we can always utilize the document if we're questioning something in the capital budget anyway.
Okay.
So, and you do a good job on the capital budget telling us what vehicle's being replaced, what it's, anyway, so that's just my thoughts.
Okay.
Maybe we really don't care.
I
I was gonna say, I know
don't think
what's
it matters
next.
that much, but it makes sense at the audit because sometimes when you're talking about the capital improvement plan, you haven't yet gotten rid of those yet. You're planning to get rid of them, but you're not ready to remove them as an asset.
Delete.
So I think at the audit makes sense.
Okay.
Okay. Is there any public comment on this item? Come on now, where are all my people for the audit committee and the?
Marlon left, so.
So we're
he's-
just not working out. Supervisor Giomi, did you just want to go ahead and make a motion? then?
Sure. I move to direct staff to bring to this board annually for review the list of deleted capital assets with the presentation of the audit.
I second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, say no. Let the record reflect it was unanimous. Thank you so much.
I appreciate the direction. Thank you.
We're now on to agenda item 18A, and this is on our 9/11 surcharge master plan. Sheriff Furlong, are you gonna give us some highlights here of what's changing? And you brought Micah with you.
Thank you for the record, Sheriff Furlong, and Business Manager for the Sheriff's Office, Micah Chalk. Not any significant changes on our 911 surcharge plan for the 5 years. Obviously, we want to bring this back to the board at this time of the year rotationally to keep the board informed.
We are doing, there's a few shifts in funding that end up happening as time goes on of available, right? Because cost centers change. Unfortunately, they get more expensive. Somehow they just don't seem to get less expensive. But sorry, Miss Benaboo, you stayed, so come on up. I just on the record, it's just, it's not a formality actually for me, but before I'm able to vote on this, we did align the changes in the master plan's funding mechanisms that were in this plan with our budget. So we are aligned.
Absolutely.
Okay.
We worked with Mike on this item to make sure they were aligned.
Okay, it's just important that I have that on the record, that we're not voting on something that we don't have any funding and we just give you wishful thinking.
Wish money.
Wish money. Yeah, the money and the wishing. So anyway, that was mine that I needed on the record, that we're aligned in the plan. Does anybody else have any questions on the plan? No? Is there any public comment on this, on the master plan for the 9/11? No? Supervisor Horton, a motion, please.
I move to approve the proposed revision to the 911 surcharge master plan as presented.
I have a motion and a second for approval. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, any opposed, say no. Let the record reflect it was unanimous. We're going to take just like a 5-minute recess. We'll let Hope get set up. Well, it's 10. There's something that happens right at 10 o'clock, you know. So we're in a recess just for a brief moment. I know, she's like, I was going to, well, I don't. we're back in session and we're on agenda item 19A. This is action for direction on an ordinance for the short-term rental properties. I'm going to run this little section of the agenda a little bit different than normal because I think it could provide other insight. So I'm going to have Ms. Sullivan present the item, and then I'm going to take the public comment, just in case there's items that they would like to discuss before we as a board start discussing what we like and don't like. So we're just going to run this one a little bit different. Also, just in case people aren't aware, just to get it out there on the record that the assessor has let me know that they have been reviewing anyone with a short-term rental in advertising, and they are then putting those properties at the higher rate for property taxes. So instead of getting 3% as a residential, you move to the maximum of the 8%. So I just wanted to put that on the record so that you're aware that another byproduct of this is the people move to the 8% property tax cap. So with that, Ms. Sullivan.
Thank you, Mayor. The Board of Supervisors has looked at this topic of short-term rental regulations quite a bit over the last 2 years. What the board has said is we know short-term rentals exist in the country and in Carson City, and the ordinance should address those. We had listening tours, we've done different things to get input, and so the objective today is to kind of go over that scope of input that's been received over the last 2 years, actually, and have the board identify what are those items. You know, we're looking at it, the mayor and I, as we talk about it as a menu. And you're going to select those items off the menu that you'd like included in the ordinance, and then the DA's office will prepare the ordinance according to the direction you provide today. So the first question, and I'll just go quickly through this so you understand the scope, and then we can go back and you'll have your conversation. So the first question is, in what zoning district should a short-term rental be allowed? And we've listed the zoning districts for you. Next, if it's allowed, should it be a permitted use or a conditional use? And when you look at conditional uses, there's two options. One's an administrative permit and the other is a special use permit. The findings for the two are identical. However, procedurally, they're a little bit different, but they also have a lot of similarity as well. The similarities I'll talk about first. They both are a public hearing. They both involve noticing. The noticing is in the newspaper, on the website, and by first-class mail. The administrative permit can be issued by a hearings officer. The special use permit can only be issued by the planning commission. So when we look at conditional use, the staff does not have the authority to allow that use to establish, only the hearings officer or the planning commission, and they do so only after the hearing that will be held on the request for a conditional use has been properly noticed. You also can have a prohibited use. So the prohibited use, and I'm going to just show this as a graphic, and this, I apologize to people watching on TV, but this is a page of section 1804, just so you can see what it looks like. And this is what's called the table of permitted uses. And we just picked the agricultural and conservation reserve because it's the first one that appears in the code. So the key is at the top. And so you'll see, when you look at your table of permitted uses, it identifies all the potential uses that can be allowed in that zoning district. And again, in this case, we're just looking at ag and conservation reserve as an example. And you have a couple choices. It can be a P, which means it's a permitted use. There's no hearing, you're just going and getting a building permit. So you can think of a house in a residential zoning district. They don't need to go to any hearings or get notification, they just get to do it. You also have an S, which means it's a conditional use and will require a special use permit. You have an A, which means it needs the administrative permit, which I just talked about, which is the same findings as the special use permit and the same notification. Or if it's blank, it means it's simply not allowed. This page has one blank under fraternal association. You'll see the blank under agricultural, which means you're not allowed to do that in the agricultural. It's prohibited. You also, and I credit Supervisor Schutte with this, on the far left column, you can see check marks, because when we were working on Title 18, Supervisor Schutte said, well, how will you know if there's supplemental standards? And it was a good question. So we came up with having that column on the far left with a check mark that says, okay, and we'll stay with the accessory dwelling unit for a second. If you look at the agricultural zoning district, it's a permitted use, but there's supplemental standards. So the planner or the person who's going to do an accessory dwelling unit will look at this and say, oh, you can do it, but there's supplemental standards. So let me go to, it's typically 1805 or Division 1 of the development standards, but we're going to talk about that to see what those supplemental standards are. Next, we look at potential standards for short-term rentals, and this is in your staff report, so I don't think I'll go in depth on this right now, but this will be something that you'll talk about, and we've listed those, so as you talk about that, the public can see what was in your report. Then we talked about enforcement, because we're talking about where to put those supplemental standards. And in terms of enforcement, actually, I might have had, okay, in terms of where to put it. So where do you put the standards? Do you put the standards in Title IV or in Title 18? Title IV is kind of a weird title if you look at the scope of what's included in Title IV. It just is sort of a catch-all of a lot of stuff. Right now, Community and Economic Development enforce 4.04, which is business license, 413, which is the liquor board and liquor licensing, and 414, which is gaming licenses. So one of the things you'll talk about is whether or not the supplemental standards will go in 18 or in Title IV. As part of that discussion, we can discuss how do you handle violations if it's in Title IV versus Title 18. And when you read Title IV directs you to Title I for the how to handle the violation. Title I tells you it's a misdemeanor, so again, criminal, punishable by imprisonment in jail for not more than 6 months or by a fine of not more than $1,000 or both. Title 18 kicks you over to Title 8 because it says a violation of Title 18 is a nuisance. Title 8 has the nuisance regulations, and the enforcement of a nuisance regulation can be either a criminal or a civil pathway. I want to just remind you on enforcement, at your workshop on February 20th, what you all had said you thought would be a good approach for enforcement on short-term rentals was the first violation, the responsible party had to respond. On the second violation, within a 12-month period, so everything's within a 12-month period, it's a $500 fine. Third violation, a $1,000 fine. Fourth violation would be revocation of the business license consistent with 404-210. I think that's your menu, and I'll stop there. Thank you.
So much. So I would like to take, if there's any, we did receive, and I think everybody has their packet of the written public comments concerning what issues they would like addressed. But is there any other public comment on proposed options and what your thoughts are on this? Mr. French.
Denny French, Carson City, Nevada. My concern is the enforcement. The added staff is important, and I appreciate that. But also, I have a situation where I've come aware of a circumstance that's going to affect me directly as far as short-term rentals. And individuals involved seem totally unaware of any of this process going on now, or what it means to be. Like I just heard today, the first time that the property tax differential will be taken in. And advising the community through the paper, I'm tending to want to show the people all the articles that have been related through Hope and different people to advise people. But something's missing as far as public understanding. I'm still working on all the attributes, but it would be helpful, I think, to present what's going to happen to those that are already having those facilities in service and renting, and what will happen if then they don't comply in the future when they're found not to be. That sort of thing would be addressed. I'd appreciate it too. Thank you.
Thank you. Do I have any other public comment desires on that? Okay, then what I'd like to do is I'll bring it back up here, and I think for to ensure that we're giving good direction and that it's clear where we're going, we should take each section and work through that. So the first question is if we do not want them, right? So we can still say, no, we don't want them. We can give them permitted, or we can require them to be an administrative. Well, let's start with, do we want them at all? Because that then sets up the next sections. So the first issue is, I think we've decided that we're going to allow them. Okay. Okay, then we'll move on to the options of permitted, or do we want a special use permit or an administrative permit? And I think the most important piece of recognition is even if we do P permitted, it doesn't mean that they don't have conditions to meet to maintain their license. And I think that's probably the largest, again, understanding, right? What does it really mean? So we can still say, you have to respond within 30 minutes, things of that nature, and have a permitted. So for me, I'm leaning towards it's permitted with a P. How about Supervisor Giomi? You stuck your hand up.
So yeah, I have kind of a couple of questions about process for Hope or Dan. If we do administrative, right now it requires noticing, and I appreciate that. It didn't, when you were talking about that at our retreat or workshop, it didn't click with me that we're going to be sending out. I mean, in concept, I heard you, and I went back and listened because I thought, well, gosh, I don't think I really wanted notices to go out, because what's the purpose in that? Because the neighbors there's nothing they're going to say that's essentially going to say, no, you can't do it. So the point for me behind having the permit was to get them to come in and have a way to understand the regulations and have those before them. So if we did, and I like the formality of the administrative, I like the formality of that. Not that we couldn't do it on a license, because we do that with marijuana and with
Liquor.
Liquor and entertainment, and with tattoo parlors, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Gaming.
In any case, gaming. So if we did an administrative permit, we would have to change things significantly to not do notices. We'd have to have like a special administrative permit. Otherwise, right, you're going to be obligated to do noticing and have to change all of that, correct?
Yes. So basically, right now, the procedural due process on an administrative permit is in the code. It's in Title 20, Title 18, I think it's 1802. So what the mayor was alluding to, and I put this back up on the screen because I think this is a graphic that describes what she was alluding to. If we stay with accessory dwelling unit, what's coincidentally is the first use that shows up because it's alphabetical. And if you look at the agricultural zone, we'll just stay there for a second, it's a permitted use, so you're not going to a hearing, but it has that check mark so that you know you have supplemental standards. And so you can certainly do that with liquor. We do noticing. That's a liquor hearing, but there is, we post that agenda.
But you don't mail things out.
No, we do not do first-class mail on
Right.
a liquor. Liquor is handled in Title 4, not in Title 18.
No, I got that.
So the administrative permit's Title 18. So if you were to put this in Title 4, and that will be a conversation you have, you could craft a procedural due process for it. But if it's, well, the land use needs to be in 18 because you need to know what zoning
Yeah,
districts
I
it's
get
allowed
that.
in.
I'm still not getting to the crux of what I'm
Okay,
asking.
if you if you have two types of administrative permits, let's pretend variances, we have two types. We have minor variance and major variance. A minor variance, you notify the immediate neighbors. Major variance, it's within a certain circumference. So you could certainly have something, say, a minor administrative permit where there's not notification, or notification that's different than an administrative permit, and then the normal administrative permit. So that would be an option.
If we wanted to keep it as an administrative permit, the way it's currently defined, we'd have to create a third category if we didn't want to notice at all.
Correct.
So given that, it seems to me that it makes sense for me to list it as a P, and then you can put a check mark which references
More standards.
more standards, whether that be in Title 18 or Title 4.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be my preference.
Mm-hmm. Supervisor White?
Yeah, on this part of it, because we are moving forward with a situation that could potentially introduce a nuisance that does not currently properly exist, I think the neighbors should be notified. At least the directly adjacent neighbors. And if we can do that within a structure that exists, I don't see a reason to invent a new one.
Can't. Well,
So that's where I'm at.
I have a quick question. So with notification, what would the purpose of the notification be? Is it to ask opinion about whether it should be permitted? Because I think that's where it gets complicated. I really appreciate the idea of notification, but in terms of if it should be permitted, then that creates its own issue, neighbor against neighbor. So it gets super complicated. I'm interested in the administrative side, a minor without notification. I do like that idea in that it allows for a little, or allows for greater oversight in terms of really being clear that there's only one short-term rental on a property, or it just adds a much more oversight. So I'm inclined to go that direction, although I know it also then means changing the language. So.
no, we don't have to
The
do
minor is not
No.
without notice. It is
Right.
noticed. It's a smaller distance.
The minor doesn't exist right now.
The minor
So
We'd have to
you'd be
create it.
creating a new
What
tool.
you just said, I'm sorry,
I said there was a minor variance.
minor variance. I misunderstood that. I apologize.
A new creation, one that wouldn't require noticing, but still allows for, I think, more oversight.
So on the minor variance, there is notification, but it's shorter.
Correct, and the staff has the authority to issue, the director has the authority to issue a minor variance, whereas a major variance goes to the planning commission.
What if, to satisfy the concern that Supervisor White has, and it sounds like Supervisor Schutte, what if, because I'm not sure what the notification does in advance of the administrative permit. Because if the notification goes out and the 5 neighbors come in and all complain that they don't want it there, and there's no basis for them to complain that they don't want it there, then we're going to issue it anyway, and we're going to have a bunch of upset people.
Agree with
and-
the notification per se because of that.
Oh, she doesn't want to.
And so maybe we do it the other way, and we do a business license. And if you want to notice, if that's important, maybe it goes out after it's issued, and you just say, hey, by the way, FYI, following business license has been issued at 1234 Main Street in your neighborhood. If you have any issues, here's the number to call for code enforcement. I don't know.
So again, I think you have 2 issues. So one is, so I think about the reality. I am a person that owns a home. I live in Texas. I'm going to do short-term rentals. I apply for a business license. So what you're saying is you want it to go to a hearings officer so that we can have them check the boxes that they're aware of the regulations. Because I guess I'm trying to actually understand a process. So pretend that Heather is the hearings officer and she's going to go, I just want you to know for sure that you have to do whatever the menu we select today. But I'm struggling with that can be done in Title IV with the business license. It can have a requirement that says you have to have a meeting with the hearings, whomever we designate. You have to have a meeting. Do they have to do it in person or can they send a representative? I'm really trying for us to get to the true heart of it, or is it that there is these supplemental requirements attached to your business license and you have to sign and validate these are your rules, and before you can get the business license you have to have this signed supplemental information so that not only is it in the regulation, but you signed that you knew it was in the regulation and these were the extra rules. I think that's what I'm trying to walk through a process, because we're not going to make the guy from Texas fly in for a 5-minute, 10-minute meeting.
Why not?
Well, what for?
Well, it
They
comes
have to
down-
comply or they lose and get their fines. I mean, I guess I look at it another
can I
way.
just take a step back?
They can send a representative. But
in the hearing. That's
It can also be on Zoom. It can also be on Zoom.
Can I
Okay.
take a step
Sure.
back just to be really basic on land
Yes.
use? So a really basic concept for you that might help. And I do a land use 101 or planning 101 training, and this is typically how I phrase it. You won't have the benefit of the PowerPoint, but it'll be easy. Okay, so permitted use, that's a use that's a no-brainer. It's okay to be there. You know what you're going to get. A house is a house is a house. It can be a 1,500 square foot house. It can be a 5,000 square foot house. It's still a house. We know what's happening there. So that's a permitted use. When you look at conditional use, what I often say is when you look at land use, you have 3 choices, yes, no, and maybe. So can that use be there in that zoning district? Can a house be in a residential zoning district? Yes, it can. No big deal. Can a factory be in a residential zoning district? No, it can't. It's prohibited. That's easy. There's nothing to talk about. So when do you do a conditional use? A good example of a conditional use is a church. Because when we talk about a church, you 5 may have 5 different perceptions in your mind of what this church is. The church could be a small Quaker church with 4 benches. That's maybe 1,000 square feet. It can also be a church that's a huge auditorium. They're both called a church. And so the impacts of one is not identical to the impacts of the other. So when you identify something as a conditional use, you tend to do that because you're not certain what you'll get because of the broad spectrum of what it could be and the impacts that it could have. So I think if you think in that framework, I'm hearing some of you say, well, we know what we're getting when we have a short-term rental. It's not going to be a mystery what it is, and we'll figure out what those standards are. And so why, and Supervisor Schutte, you said, well, what's the benefit of the public comment? The benefit of the public comment, and again, if we use that church example, 1, we didn't know what we were going to get. And secondly, we want the benefit of public input from the folks who actually live there and whose property will be impacted, because we can study the area all day long, but we're not the same as the person who lives there. And so I think you have to think in terms of land use right now, like be really segmented and think to yourself, is this something that could have a broad spectrum of impacts based on the intensity, or is this pretty predictable? If it's pretty predictable and you're comfortable with it, you can call it a permitted use.
Thank you. Supervisor Horton.
Let's not complicate it. Let's keep it simple. Put it in Title IV, issue a business license, have the hearing officer review it, and minimize the notification area to what is reasonable, period.
Yep. So let's start with each issue just so that we don't get confused in the direction. So do we want it as a permitted use? And so I want permitted. Anybody else? Curtis, sorry, Horton. Curtis just said he wanted permitted. Permitted. Okay, so we have at least 3 permitteds. So, okay, so we got the first issue is permitted. Let's talk about where, right? Because you have your list of places. So I think we had already decided, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. We said we were going to do the single family, right?
Did we just say residential?
I'm just
Broadly.
using it or chart, I know, but anyway, all the ones with single family on your
Well,
chart.
let me ask you, is residential a gross categorization?
It's individual, right? I don't know.
No, it's not gross. It would be what the board wants. If you're comfortable with multifamily apartment and mobile home park,
To go
Let's go through 'em.
piece by
Right.
piece.
well, I just need to know what you want.
Do we
Yeah,
want
I get it.
mobile homes?
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't restrict them.
We're
Are
going.
you starting at the top? Why don't you start at the top?
Oh,
Agriculture.
agriculture.
No for me.
Wait, is agriculture they
Any-
have a house on it? It's just because it's the acreage that gets the agricultural,
Anywhere that allows residents.
a
Can't have
residence?
residence in agriculture, isn't it? Well,
Okay.
Is it straight up? Is it a P?
Yes, it's a P.
Yeah, okay. So is that, let me ask it, that's a good way that Supervisor White just said. Anywhere in which a house can be, we allow it? Is that is that enough to tell you which one? So let me say then, does that mean in an apartment? I don't want to
I'm
do
not
apartments.
comfortable with an apartment.
I don't want to do apartments.
don't
Not
either.
yet. Doesn't mean we can't come back and revisit apartments, but I don't want to do apartments. What about you guys? No apartments?
Fourplex, those, yeah.
But not apartments. I don't want 100-unit. Yeah, no apartments. And they're picking one apartment that they
Well,
could
it's
do.
not, it's,
Not a workaround for a motel.
Right. So
but
no,
it's not zoned, fourplexes are not zoned as fourplexes. We don't have a fourplex zoning. So you'll have to clarify that.
townhomes, let's see on here what it is.
Well, so right now, the way I read this, we're going to be
Duplex.
permitted in, going from the list on page 548.
Mhm.
We're going to be permitted all the way down to multifamily duplex for right now, right? Is that a fair statement from what everybody is agreeing
Yes.
to?
Yes.
Then we're at multifamily apartments,
Saying
and we
no.
said no there. RO,
Can be a residence or an office,
So that's
so
a yes.
yes.
general office, apartments or residence could be there, but it's not permitted, correct?
Correct. And just as a reminder, when you looked at this during the workshop, what was proposed was everything except for the industrial and the public zonings. And there was a supplemental standard that had to be a dwelling, so it can't be like a shed or some other
Perfect.
use.
Good. Sold for me.
So we're yeses then all the way down to downtown mixed, and then everything after that is no?
No, she just said everything except industrial and public. As
Thought
long
we
as,
said no apartments either.
well, no apartments, we
Okay,
passed that.
yeah, and no apartments.
But as long as it's a dwelling, correct?
Oh, that's
Well,
when we
we're going to
down
get
in
to the
other, we'll get
supplemental
there.
standards, but that's
Yes.
what the discussion at the workshop, yes.
Right, and the dwelling would include the apartments that are on the second floor of a number of Main Street properties.
Correct. What you're looking at right now is not land use. You're looking at zoning, and you're identifying again based on this table of permitted uses. So we know where in the table, where to amend the table of permitted uses and what zoning districts. And what I'm hearing is the board is saying no for the zoning district called multifamily apartment, no for any industrial zoning districts, and no for public. And everything else will have that check mark with a P.
Perfect, right?
And just to understand, there are going to be places that are zoned multifamily apartment that have single-family homes in it, and we're not going to allow it.
Oh, wait.
I'm not saying that's wrong, but that's the result of what we just told her.
Is that it? Wait a minute, let's talk about that.
I'm sure that's
apartment we're
probably
not
a
gonna
true
do.
statement because we're looking at zoning and not land use. That said, I haven't inventoried the land uses in the multifamily apartments,
if we
but I'm
have
sure there's townhouses
SFRs.
and things
There's
like
no
that.
doubt in my mind that there's some zoning districts that are multifamily apartment that have townhomes or duplexes in it.
Okay, can we solve that then in the piece where it's one dwelling unit?
Yeah,
We
when
can
we get
handle
to
it different and allow it and do it in the conditions that you have to have a single one place or whatever?
Yeah, what you can do is if
Something
you want to
get there.
allow it in multifamily apartment under certain circumstances,
Yes.
then when you get to your supplemental standards, you can identify what those circumstances are.
Okay. I think we don't want to stop somebody that happens to have a residential and there's 4 apartments 2 blocks over or something.
Yeah, we're just going to
That-
have to
We don't want
decide
apartments.
We're just
That's
gonna
the
have to
idea.
decide what that is, because
Yes.
as Supervisor White said, there are apartments above business in the middle of downtown.
Right.
And are we saying we're going to exclude that? I'm not saying one way or the other, but that's the question we need to answer. What's
Well,
the number?
We'll do that when we get down into the individual standards.
I understand.
Yeah, start thinking. Start thinking, Stacy. Do you have enough for that to know what you're doing in that one? Okay, so we have P and we have the use areas. Now we can talk about what standards we're looking for. So if we start with,
Just
I
gonna go
think the
through 'em,
number
right?
1 is the most important, right? So we agree with number 1, everybody? That it has to be a dwelling unit, not a shed, not
A
a,
clarification on,
Okay.
Must be established in a building that is currently lawfully used as a dwelling unit. If you stay with that narrow definition of currently, if it's a vacant lot and you build a house on it later, you're outside.
no, because he won't get his business license till the house is built.
The current use of that piece of property is nothing at this point.
It's at the time of application.
Yeah.
So the house has to be there before they can apply. They can't apply on a vacant lot.
This was put in because during the listening sessions, what we heard from some folks is that we have property owners in town renting out sheds and things
Mhm.
like that that are not dwellings. But as the mayor mentioned, the concept of current means current at the time of application, not at the time of adoption of ordinance.
So can we put some sort of language to clarify that?
Sure, it can say that is at the time of application is lawfully used.
Well, all of this will apply at the time of application. It's not, it doesn't run with the land.
Right? Mr. Yu, that's overarching that it's at time of application. If there's a crafter thing you need in there, let us know. Or you can do that. I think we'd all let the district attorney's office, if there's any that type of stuff, feel free to save us from ourselves. Okay. But it's at time of application. Okay.
No, I have that, Mayor, and I think everybody's comments are correct. All these conditions that are enumerated here by Hope in the staff report, that doesn't run with the land, that runs with the license application.
Okay.
Okay, so number 2, only 1 short-term rental on the property. So if you have a duplex, one of them can be, not both of them, right? Unless they have a separate parcel number.
Or if you have an ADU, it can, in a main
Be
house,
either
it can only
one,
be one
but
or
one.
the other.
Right? So we're all
I
agreeing
agree.
it's 1. Okay. So number 2 is in. The owner rental must pay the room rental tax consistent.
Yes.
We all agree that it's
The
taxable.
law, it's the law.
Okay.
Even, I don't even
Except for.
Do you
I
even
don't-
need to say that? Sorry, do you even need
No.
to say that? It's the law.
Yeah, but I think we want it
Okay.
for them to know they
Fine.
have to go
It's fine.
register, because I think there's a nuance. Isn't there a nuance on the number of bedrooms? That's the problem at the CTA?
Well, that's
Yes,
something.
3 bedrooms
the-
versus
The
4.
DA's office is working on
Yes.
updating
So for
that
now, we wanna
information.
leave it in.
The
Okay.
benefit of this is articulating it in here is that the regulator who works for the city, whether it's business license or the planner, will know, I can't renew this business license, or I can't approve this permit until this happens. So that was the idea, and then they had asked for the evidence of it.
Okay,
Number 4, do we care about trash bins?
yeah, but the bear proof thing, no, that's silly.
It's silly at all,
Yeah, it's, why would we do that? I don't.
because we have people coming to the area potentially who aren't familiar with bears and I just think it's really important, especially if they put it out even within the 24 hours and if they put it out the day before. and it's not picked up for the next day. I just think,
We already have a requirement for bear-proof containers. Rick, do we not? Sorry, were you taking a nap? No. Is there not a requirement?
no.
Is there?
What about the apartment downtown above a business? Are you gonna make them put in a bear-proof trash can in that little tiny alley?
That's
off
what
the
I'm getting at.
Telegraph? That makes no sense. We should have an area defined, if we're gonna do this, about where the bear-proof cans are necessary and where they're not.
Well, if we're going to do that, then we should do it for everybody. It's my opinion.
And honestly, you know, there are bear proof that it's not bigger than, excuse me, other receptacles. It just has a different latch.
No, I have one.
I don't know
It's
how
not
you-
bigger. It's not bigger.
So
But I
don't-
thought there was I could have sworn that when we did the franchise agreement, there was something, whether it was in the animal ordinance or whatever, that if your container gets tipped over so many times and we have to respond, that you're forced to put in a bear-proof container.
Rick Cooley, come on up.
But that,
Waste management has to provide one upon request.
So
at
Rick
a certain
Cooley,
fee.
There is that.
Deputy
It's
Public
more, and
Works
it's more. I'll
Director.
tell you right now, it's more.
No, we didn't add anything in there that the
Okay.
bear-proof carts are available.
Yes.
But there was something that if you had,
There was a lot of discussion about it.
Okay,
But
okay.
nothing was ever finalized. There was, just like now, there was a lot of
yeah,
I think-
different opinions.
Thank
I
you.
think the greatness of this one is we can take out the requirement for the bear proof, but what a perfect answer if they happen to be in an area that gets bears and the complaints are coming in for the trash, the mitigation or the answer is start taking fines or, you know, let's do the bear proof thing because you're in a certain area.
Well, I don't know how we tell
This one and not
one
everyone else.
property they have to have a bear-proof trash can when the property right next door does not have to have it.
Because the property next door isn't being used as a short-term rental. The property next door, people are there, living there, but short-term rentals, it's more the transient, and then there will be days that no one is there, so.
I could
And I-
live with that. I could leave it.
Doesn't matter?
Yeah.
Not enough? How much is
That
the
much.
price different? It's not that
I don't know,
much.
it's like
$50 more or something to get a bear proof.
50 more a year in total.
We can leave it? Okay, we've got agreement.
Huh? Well, I have one.
Yes.
So I just don't remember how much. I think my bill is $80. I think it's $7 a month.
I think the
Or maybe
biggest
7.25.
issue on these rentals is odds are, consistency wise, they're gonna come in on a Friday and they're gonna leave on a Sunday. The property manager will come in on Tuesday for my Wednesday trash and it might have been sitting around and there's no one there to watch it. I guess,
I don't see it being administered any different than any other trash can, myself.
but we're probably getting more and more people with bear proof because it's getting to be more of an issue.
Well, we should
but-
be, I can tell you that.
Yeah.
We should
But,
be.
so, okay, we'll leave number 4 as is. Let's go to 5, which did say the owner must provide the statement on that he's not in any deed restriction issues with his CCNRs or should that also say bylaws? Oh, bylaws or the HOA piece, right?
Good.
Okay, everybody good with that? 6, no events, weddings may occur. An event is a gathering of people that exceeds, I don't like this one. I don't like it.
Can't have any visitors.
I don't like this. I think this one to me is what we are setting up for neighbor on neighbor complaints.
No, I think something that would say no other commercial activity, like I just stayed in a bed and breakfast in Hesperia over the weekend. And it says no other commercial activities such as filming, photographing, weddings, commercial activities.
No commercial, I like the commercial.
Yeah, it was pretty interesting reading that whole.
So you wouldn't say no events? I mean, I would still like to keep the no events
Well,
component.
but let's look at that in conjunction with the next one that talks about, I look at these together of the quiet time. And so I don't care if you have a daytime wedding or birthday party. What we want to do is cap the impact to the neighborhoods, I think, based on the timing, right? When do you expect peaceful enjoyment of your home?
Right.
And maybe that's 9, you can't do anything after 9 PM, you know.
So
I
you'd
don't
be
know.
good with a 50-person wedding in the backyard?
I have one in mind. I've had 3 of them.
I'm not
That
okay
many
with that.
people.
I'm not
It's
okay
a
with that.
norm, but
If you're allowing it, it could be the norm. You don't know if it's going to be the norm or
it
not.
doesn't matter.
Mitigate
It's
that
during the
with-
day.
I think you mitigate that with parking restrictions as well.
Well,
And frankly.
We weren't going to do parking restrictions.
but it can't
You're
be
in the lobby for it.
commercial.
It might not be a wedding, it might be a club meeting or something different.
Right.
So
It's
an
the boat
event,
club or
pretty
the-
broad description.
And I
what I
think
said.
that's
I
why,
like no
if
commercial.
we're open at number 7, I think that's why you go for a 9 PM
Yeah.
quiet time. And by the time the neighbors complain, it's 10 o'clock when it should be quiet.
Down.
Yeah, I don't have a problem changing it to 9. I still
Okay.
have a problem
9.
not saying no events. Whether we define events or not,
That's the problem.
I don't,
I only want things we can easily identify and enforce.
I get it.
And I don't want the birthday party, that's an event. I mean, we'd all have a
Then
different
make it
answer.
double the occupancy. Make it double the occupancy. The point is, we don't want a group of 20 people at a house. I don't care if it's 2 in the afternoon or 10 o'clock at night. It's not, if there's a short-term rental and someone is gathering there, the difference between that and someone like in your neighborhood,
Mhm.
you're not having a wedding. You've had 3 in 15 years, 10 years. You know, here we could have 3 in a month. That's kind of
But
what I'm.
There's a big difference between a prayer group in the backyard and a motorcycle group in
Right.
the backyard. Big difference.
Right.
I think no event suits the purpose. You're not going to get an Airbnb and have a wedding in the backyard. In most cases, that's not going to be the purpose anyway.
Oh, except they have a
You might have
destination.
multiple guests who stay with you because you're in the venue where the wedding's going to occur somewhere in the town.
Right.
But I just think you need to be very careful with that. And I agree with Stacy. You know,
Double the maximum
you get yourself
capacity?
into a big situation if you're not careful.
I don't want to do maximum capacity. So that means at all times they're going to pretend 3 bedrooms, 6 people.
You could
So
double
do we
it.
want to do double then? Because they
I
can
have a
have the family
So I
visit?
have a suggestion
what
on
else you
that at number 12. Again, my experience just this weekend at Hesperia with the, let's not get too far ahead, but it's kind of folding in. It's 2 people per bedroom, no sleeping in the common area, and in no case more than 10 people. It keeps you, if you have a 5,000 square foot house with 7 bedrooms, you can't have 14 people there. You can only have 10 people max.
Well,
2 people per bedroom, not more than 10 in any case.
I like the no sleeping in common area
I like that.
I like that
I
ad.
like doubling the
Let's
whatever the
double.
bedroom occupancy is.
for the
'Cause
visitors,
I
so
think it's
that we're not
unreasonable. If you-
arguing
If you
over.
rent a huge
right.
house, wherever it is, if you're renting a 5,000 square foot house and you have 7 bedrooms, you may, I don't know, to limit it to 10 seems, it's 2 families of 5.
Right.
Um,
Exceeds double, and we want to add the no commercial activities.
No commercial activity.
So it's no events or commercial activities, and an event is a gathering of people that exceeds double the maximum occupancy. Is that clear enough for you, drafter? What else
Not
do you
clear
need?
enough for Dad.
He said no. Shoot, what do you need, buddy?
I would really like to get some examples from this board as to what would constitute a quote-unquote commercial activity. I mean, that's a very broad term, and as, Lori, as the
Someone
mayor.
else has a license.
Right. I mean, and one of the things that we want to do, we want to be careful of is it's a fine balance we're trying to strike, right? I understand the difficulty in this and in wrestling over some of these terms and concepts. It's good to have specificity without being overly specific, but for enforcement purposes, we want to make sure that, nothing is ambiguous or too vague or overbroad. I mean, all these things could be challenged. And when we're creating new terms in code that are not currently defined, we run into that potential issue of, well, what exactly constitutes a commercial activity? So I would just ask this board to maybe consider that some more and to provide some additional parameters. That's kind of a policy decision. Certainly I could make it up on the fly as I'm drafting, but I don't want to do that. Commercial activities could, for example, be something that the occupants or tenants of the short-term rental would be engaging in or undertaken as an activity for profit.
That requires a license.
Right.
This is another business
Right,
license.
but that wouldn't necessarily, for example, capture a wedding event, because that's not a commercial activity. That's just a large gathering of people for somebody to get married. So I would ask the board to give that some more thought, because I would be a little bit uncomfortable, and I would advise against simply having an undefined term like commercial activity.
I have a suggestion. How about gatherings will be limited to no more than double the allowed occupancy,
Period.
period.
It doesn't matter whether it's commercial or not.
And just to kind of add to that, with the commercial activity thing, and I don't want to beat a dead horse, but, but I will, just as a lawyer. I mean, I can think of some examples. For example, you've got a lot of TikTokers these days, right? You got a lot of people who post videos on YouTube. I'm acquainted with people like my kid brother, for example. He's got friends. He's much younger than myself, and when he does stay at Airbnbs with his buddies, they take videos of the backyard, of the view, of the inside. They post it on TikTok. They post it on YouTube. And, my brother doesn't do this, but his friends certainly do. They do it for clicks, and they get advertisement revenue from the number of viewings, and that could constitute, quote unquote, a commercial activity. So we do want to be wary of, terminology
Is
we're
there a way,
establishing.
do you have because I think what we want to make sure to have is that the people who are renting it know that they can't run a business. They can't rent something for a weekend and run a business out of this place, whether that's them, maybe they're a traveling art show. We've had that. We've had artists come through town, and maybe they're running a traveling art show. We don't want them to set up, their artwork in the garage and invite people over and sell their artwork. Or someone wants to make a spicy movie in this rented building. You want me to spell it out a little better than that? I'm not talking about jalapenos here, Dan.
You could be. Sorry, go ahead.
Do you have a suggestion for a phrase that we could put in there that would not allow that to happen?
Just spitballing here, I'm going to turn to, our subject matter expert, Hope, of course. I don't know how much or if any or all of this would be captured by, any other activity that would also require a business license to be issued. So here in Carson City, when you're engaging in
That's
that
right.
type of commercial activity, you would have to get a license.
Let's do that, and then we'll do the double the occupancy.
Right.
Is that good, Hope?
Yeah, I was just going to share with you that I did have the staff research the other agencies' regulations, and specifically the concept of event versus party. Clark, Washoe, Henderson, Las Vegas all define party in terms of occupancy.
So we'll do
And
double.
the other thing, I also had them research daytime maximum occupancy, and they looked at Douglas, Clark, Washoe, Mesquite, Henderson, Las Vegas, and they're using terms like you're talking about. And for example, in Douglas, the nighttime occupancy can be no more than 6. Ours could be 2 per bedroom. Daytime occupancy shall be no more than double the nighttime occupancy. So we've seen that used in other agencies'
Double-
regulations.
So maybe 2 clauses, double the occupancy and no activities that would otherwise require a business license,
Perfect.
right?
That would not
Just
preclude
that one.
a caterer that is supporting the wedding reception.
No.
Correct.
It wouldn't.
Okay.
Or,
Yeah, I just wanna
or
be-
if you happen to be a chef going in there and preparing a meal for
Papaya.
Papaya.
Papaya, however you say it.
Jalapeno.
Jalapenos. There you go.
I
Okay.
just want to be careful that, again, recognizing that we're potentially having a nuisance that doesn't exist, and let's not make it a double nuisance,
I agree. Okay.
right? You know, I'm the property rights guy, but this is a situation where trying to balance everybody's property rights. I am really not concerned about putting some heavy pressure on a homeowner that wants to go with a short-term rental. I'm really not worried about that.
All right, so we got double the occupancy and doesn't otherwise require a business
And we
license
said we're
type
moving it
activity.
to 9 PM, right, on 7.
And 9 PM, everybody okay? Because that way, I think it's correct. It'll be done by 10 completely.
One more thing on number 7, if I could, please.
Yes,
Um,
absolutely.
The idea, no amplified sound may occur outside of the buildings. That's pretty difficult to do even with the windows closed, but how are we gonna deal with, okay, open the slider into the back door and turn the stereo on inside the house full blast? Is that amplified inside the house, or is that amplified outside? If I can hear the news, you know, some of these houses are only 10 feet apart. If I can hear the news while I'm hauling my trash and all the windows are shut on the STR, are they out of compliance? I know I'm grasping for straws, but I want to be clear. What is this definition of
you-
amplified sound outside of buildings?
Do you think if we're changing it to 9 PM and the 7 AM, we meet the need by having the quiet hours?
I'd leave it in there.
Leave the no amplified?
And I understand the position that you could turn the stereo up inside the house and open all the windows and become some sort of a nuisance. I get that.
But-
It'd be a much greater nuisance on the patio with big speakers, you know, or out there with your Marshall stack playing your guitar. You know, that's a much greater nuisance. So this will help minimize the situation.
That's it. So it's outside. Outside means you have an outside product. Did you have something on that, Mr. Yu? That's good. Okay.
And I think some of this, we're gonna,
Practice.
we're gonna have to live with this for a little bit and then sort of figure our way out. I mean, I think, you know, we give it a year or two and come back and say, hey, this isn't working, that isn't working. We hear from Hope and her team as to what the violations have been, so we can, you know, try and tighten it up or loosen it up, whatever the case may be.
I agree with that too. Okay. 8, respond via telephone within 30 minutes, in person with the hour. Shall provide reasonable person's contact. What do you think on this? Should it be, do we think they should be on site within an hour, or we want to stick with our original 30 minutes all the way around?
I want 30 minutes.
30 minutes.
30 minutes. Okay?
So
We all
I'd
agree.
go so far as to say they should live in Carson, but
Just, they can
almost
be in
have to
Dayton and
be.
be here in 30 minutes,
Yes.
so.
Phone rings, you put your pants on at 2 o'clock in the
yeah,
morning.
no, you're right. You
You're
could,
30
you,
minutes
you
out.
might make it in Jacks Valley, I guess.
Yeah.
It's probably better to leave it at time.
And
than-
again, can be, well, I am going to say, I expect to meet the 30 minutes, they either live within 30 minutes or their property manager does.
Yeah, one or the other.
So
Yeah.
30 minutes is 30 minutes to me.
Yeah, you're right.
That-
Telephone within 30 minutes and then in person to the site within an hour. So that's what it says.
I know, that's what we're striking, the hour,
Yeah. We
And-
want
30 minutes.
And taking out telephone, right?
Mhm.
I think responding,
Within 30 minutes, because we want the activity curbed.
sure.
Right? You want the guy that owns it or the owner's rep to say, what's going on here? You can't have a band in the backyard. Shut this band down. And then we're going to say, okay, they're complying. It's like, nope, you didn't show up. The band kept on going. Here's your first
Can we,
hit.
can we play this out a bit, Hope? There's an STR next to me. It's 9:30, and we'll use sound because that's probably the one that's gonna happen most often.
That's it.
And they got their boom box, the Wi-Fi speaker, and, you know, drinking and playing cornhole in the backyard.
Yeah.
At 9:30. I'm the neighbor. I call the compliance hotline or whatever we call it. I don't know what you call it. So, you know, I call 887-HELP, and what happens?
The compliance officer would go out, validate the complaint, and then contact the responsible person to respond.
So the compliance officer, do we have a compliance officer who's on call, so to speak?
Well, when this goes into place, I'm going to need to do that.
Okay. So the compliance officer, what is their mandated response time?
They don't have
You
a
can't have
mandated
one.
response time right now. But I suspect if we're talking about something happening at 9 o'clock at night, there's not going to be competing calls.
Right. So, so the compliance officer wouldn't necessarily need to go on site to confirm it? Could they, I mean, that's what I'm getting at, because if you add, if we have a compliance officer that lives in Dayton,
Right.
now you're looking at maybe 40 minutes before the compliance officer is
Right.
here, and then another 30
Mhm.
once the compliance officer calls
Right.
the responsible.
Well, if the board's okay with it, what we typically do is we independently validate everything before we basically pursue enforcement. But if this board's okay with it, what we can do is just initially contact the responding party saying, we got this complaint, meet me at the site.
So that it's happening
Better
at
get
the same
around.
time.
Right, so it's in parallel and we haven't
Right.
validated.
Right.
As simple as the code enforcement officer just tells the complainant caller, hold your phone up to the fence.
That's
and
what I
let me
would
hear
do.
the problem.
Yeah, that's what I would do.
Well,
Well, how do you know it's not his home? That's not, no.
You don't.
Somewhere we gotta have
just
some
saw it
trust,
happen,
right?
Method of enforcement, we can leave up to Hope and her
Mhm.
staff
Yeah.
to make sure that it occurs however they choose to
Right.
do it.
Mhm.
And as far as the response time goes, we can do the same thing, and we can adjust that with our internal staff if necessary.
Mhm.
If we find that it's an issue, then we'll work on that. But I don't want to put a requirement on any staff as far as the response time.
No,
goes.
and I'm not suggesting that. I just want to understand it so I can decide
Right.
how we answer number 8, so that it,
Respond within 30 minutes when contacted by representatives of the city.
that's-
Realistically, I think if we have problem houses, I'll
You'll
have
know.
code enforcement on duty so that they can, be monitoring.
Yeah.
Mhm,
So a little more on number 8.
mhm.
Again, trying to narrow any ambiguity, responsible person being identified.
Yeah.
I think we should
Not that
stay
was
with
scenario.
like the property manager or something, because how do you decide who the responsible person is?
Well,
Designated. It'll have to
They
be
do.
designated when they get their license.
and then they have to change it if it
And
changes.
if they have to change, they'll have to call it in.
So that'll work pretty much the same way as an alcohol manager in the
You have
grocery
to,
store?
exactly, just
That's
what
my
they do in
expectation.
Title IV now. If you have a change, fill out the form, put the change on it.
Okay,
So,
Develop a
but,
form that,
right.
okay.
But if we look at 8, so that the last sentence doesn't belong. It's each short-term rental must have a responsible person identified who can respond within 30 minutes after being contacted by representatives of the city. Because the other one is, there's no noticing area. We just said it was permitted, so
we would take that out.
take that out. Yeah, so that end of the sentence doesn't matter there. And then I'm with Curtis where I just said, respond in 30 minutes. They'll work the details out on the types of things and instruct. I'll meet you there, whatever, can be instructed.
I just want it clear that we're not,
Right.
I mean, that 30 minutes has to be fairly reasonably short after the complainant
Right,
calls in. That's all I'm getting at,
Yep.
So,
I agree.
okay,
I like the idea of,
Blinding snowstorm, you're probably not gonna make it
Correct.
from Jacks Valley
correct,
to Silver Oak in 30 minutes.
right.
unless it's 2 a.m.
At 2 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah.
Harder.
Yeah, it might be harder because you gotta wake up. Okay,
We're not
anyway,
plowing.
that's the point. Okay, number 9. Short-term will provide a written code of conduct for review and approval that we like. The code of conduct shall set forth the rules and expectations for renters and guests. The property owner, the responsible party, must provide renters with a copy of it as well as post it. Code of conduct shall include the following: the occupancy limits, a statement of the quiet hours obviously would change to 9.
Occupancy limits, including I don't know if you need to say more, including the maximum number but that covers it, I guess.
That'll all be
Yeah,
covered and
yeah,
they'll
you're
do it
right.
in
Yep.
there, right? The use of wood burning, right, we wanted that one. Oh, the use of wood pit is prohibited and gas fire pits may not be used during red flag warnings as issued by the National Weather Service. In the noticing or the thing you're working on, are you gonna put the
I don't,
actual site, or should we even have that?
I don't think that's a thing. I mean,
Warnings as issued, period.
no, I just don't.
No.
I mean, if you have a gas
It's not an
burning
issue with it.
something, the red flag thing is not a thing. There's no way, no one regulates that.
Right.
I'm telling you, no one regulates that. We don't regulate it now. This is saying you can't barbecue if it's a red flag day and
We all
using
do.
your propane barbecue, and it's not.
That's what the ordinance says.
It says gas fire.
What ordinance? This ordinance?
When the fire department puts a red flag warning up, that's exactly what it says.
I don't think that's what it says.
Better Google
Then
that,
the
Dan.
better answer, just the better answer would be the use of wood burning fire pit is prohibited
Period.
and they must follow Carson City Fire Department rules or whatever. So if they do that, they do it. If they don't, they don't. I don't remember
says that.
ever getting a notice that says I
in-
can't
When
use
we
my
put a-
barbecue.
And
When
a
we used to
little,
Put a notice out, sorry, Hope, when we
No,
used to put a
please.
notice out, to your point, Mo, it was for the Wildland Urban Interface.
Right.
And it was unimproved areas of the Wildland Urban Interface, open flames are prohibited, period, including, I think it was any open flame. That's, anyway. I mean, if you guys don't agree, it's not a hill to die on for me. I'm just-
if you want to leave it to the first clause, later in the standards, you're going to have a standard regarding providing information about the city's emergency information, and that might be where you put
That they-
anything
right.
about, following guidance provided by the emergency manager or something.
I just think realistically,
Yes.
it's going to be very hard to enforce that, and we're going to be sending a code enforcement guy out when
It's not needed.
someone's using a barbecue on a red flag afternoon in a natural gas fired
Period.
barbecue attached to a house. I just
needed.
don't think we want them to go out for that.
Even though it's listed as fire pit, I don't see a barbecue as a.
Well,
fire
maybe you're
pit.
right. It does say fire pit. You're right.
It's still gas, but that's okay. What do we
No,
wanna do on
let's
that?
leave it. It's fine.
Okay.
Let's leave it.
It doesn't matter. Okay.
It's fine.
Okay. The notification of the trash bins, that one's right. Notification, the city may schedule inspections, so they know they could be
Yeah.
knocked on the door and we could come in. And then what is F? Any other rules?
F would have been if you had a hearing, so
So
if you're not
that's
having a
off.
hearing, you can remove F.
So
Okay.
F is gone.
F is out.
Okay. 10, annual inspection by the city compliance officers.
Do we have
I
to-
don't want shall, shouldn't it be may?
I
May be.
agree.
I think it's good that they know we may come in if we want to, but we don't have to. Right. Everybody else okay with the rest of that? So it's a may? Like you said, I think it's what you said, if you got a problem place that you keep getting complaints.
I don't know. I mean,
What do you want?
The fire extinguisher component, you need to fix that. It can't be that way. It says the fire extinguisher that will not expire before the next inspection. That doesn't work.
Just,
I mean, it could expire a month after his inspection and
it's
it's
just a
legal.
current tag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Carson City Emergency Contact Information. I don't know what that means. It's 911. I don't know what else.
The idea was the emergency website where John Bacadal's worked with the city manager's office to have those certain like icons when there's a danger, say a wildfire or flooding or something like that. So we can massage that wording.
You can, but what you're
but-
talking about won't work because those are connected. You have to register for that.
Right.
And
But-
these people who are transient are not going to be registering for that.
I thought they were on our website, and so they could go to the website to see it, but maybe.
Well, they
No, but this is for the inspection and what they're.
No,
No.
What
we
the
moved on to
compliance
number 10.
officer is
No.
doing. How is he gonna inspect somebody using the
Oh, I
website?
see. The idea was that the binder that they had would
information.
have information on where to find that information.
That's what he'll inspect.
Is the binder.
Yes. It's not that big a deal. It's just, no one's going to do it.
No.
I mean,
But
because
that's
it would.
Well,
I
no,
mean,
but the emergency contact could be, all of it's 911. Is
Correct.
anything not 911?
what she's saying is we have that notification system that you can
Right.
sign up for.
The alert.
Alert.
Right. First alert
911
or whatever it
Whatever we
is.
call it now. I forget what it's called.
I know.
And no one is going to do that, is my point.
It's
So,
911.
But if, no, I mean, if John wants to put something in there, it's not that big a deal.
Doesn't hurt to have.
No.
Leave it in there. That's
It
fine.
could be just that it's 911 or whatever John wants. Okay. So we're changing that to a May and
And
the
she'll
fire
fix the fire
extinguisher one
part.
comes out. Yeah, that's just a current tags. Okay, 11, hot tub must be submitted for review and approval by okay, I want to talk about this one. We don't do this anywhere for a hot tub in a residence. I just don't think it fits.
We need
So
to
I
do
think
it.
11 should be struck. Everybody?
Well, I think when we're talking about, this kind of a rental situation, that house could be rented back to back to back to back. And I believe swimming pools and hot tubs in a short-term rental should be operated the same way they are in a motel. I don't see the difference.
I think the insurance and what the homeowner's going to do will cover this particular component. I don't want to have it go to the health department to say, maintain your hot tub at blank. I don't think it's the right
You
answer.
know, if I want to dump my friends and little kids of my own making in my filthy, nasty hot tub, that's one thing. But we're talking about a commercial, open arrangement where you don't know who jumped in there last time.
I don't want to send her team out to inspect a hot tub or a swimming pool. So, yeah, don't do it to anybody that has their next door neighbors over or a birthday party in their swimming pool. If you open up that lid to a hot tub, you might not go in.
When I'm at a birthday party, I can look around at the people and say, do I want to share a hot tub with these folks? I don't know
But
who was in there
anyway.
yesterday at a short-term rental.
I don't disagree with Supervisor White, but the practicality of getting this done
Right.
is is why I just don't know how we do it.
Yeah.
I mean, would it be good to do? Yeah, but I don't know how you do it.
You don't do it.
How do you do it for hotel?
Because you're inspecting everything. And it's a lot more people.
Well, and
It's
you go
100
once a year.
people or 200 people and you go once. It's a whole different process.
Good morning, Jeannie
I don't
Freeman
want
for the record,
inspections
Director
for
for Health and Human Services. In a motel or a hotel setting, they're going to have commercial levels. They have to have a variety of different standards that we don't have in a personal residential area that they're not able to put in place. The idea behind this is submitting a protocol that's reviewed that has regulations on the frequency of which they would change the water, that they're testing it for chemical balance to make sure that we're not having conditions that would create situations where somebody might go away with something, a rash that they get on their skin or something of that sort. So
So
that
you're
was
just
one.
asking for a protocol here.
That's what it says, yes. It would be the sanitation protocol for a hot tub or swimming pool. So it would be that cleaning maintenance that they would document the maintenance and the cleaning of it to make sure that filters are cleaned, that the chemicals are kept in balance. It's a simple thing that I do in my own hot tub where I have to put a little litmus test in it to make sure that the chemicals are in balance
Do
for
we
the
really
protection
want a
of the
maintenance
skin.
log, and who's going to look at the maintenance log?
Well, that would be, I guess that's going to be a determination on whether or not there's going to be, it said they may have an inspection that's happening on an annual basis that got changed from a shall to a may earlier through your discussion.
But say a maintenance log must be maintained on the property, you would say.
Yes, so it could be something that's included.
Submit, or you have to review. If we decide to do an inspection, you would look at the maintenance log.
Correct.
Well, I could live with that. I think that satisfies what you're talking
Do
about.
you have a comment? Oh.
Literally, I have declined hot tub invites in the past.
It's again,
That's
your
probably a
option to
story we
do.
don't need to hear.
It is.
I just, whatever. Does the health department, so I come in to get a license, I have to do my little protocol to you that says, I'll put a thing, so who's doing it? The tenant or the owner? I guess that's even more of my
Well,
concern,
that's what the
right?
protocol would say.
think
The
the
protocol
manager-
would spell out. who's
So
gonna do
I'm
it.
just asking the question.
Incumbent
Jeannie's
on
gonna
the
get this
owner.
thing that says the tenant's gonna dip the little stick in it and it's gonna look at the color
Oh,
code on it and say,
no.
put some more chemical in.
No, it would not be, Jeannie Freeman for the record, it would not be the tenant, it would be the owner or the
How-
property
okay.
manager.
I don't
So
like
the same
this.
kind of idea is that you have another item that's coming up about them having what their cleaning and disinfecting protocol is within the residential area, like making sure that the sheets are washed and the towels and the linens that are provided are cleaned. Same kind of idea that before somebody comes in for that next rental, they have to clean the property, they have to do that kind of stuff with the linens. It'd be the same kind of identification that they would document, that they have done a test strip on the water associated with that pool or hot tub, so that make sure that they have that in place.
I like that better all combined. Is that, what is your protocol for cleaning all of the house? I mean, all the product. As, what are you gonna do between each rental? I think that's the appropriate answer that we're all after, is you have to have cleaning protocols, which would include hot tub, swimming pool.
I'd be fine with one
Yes.
component.
One,
You have a
sub-
cleaning and
protocol.
sanitization
Yeah,
protocol, and
Yes.
part of that has to be the hot tub. You just have to say that it has to be the hot tub.
right. I like the one cleaning protocol will be given, and then how long is
She'll
Jeannie
have to
gonna
approve
take
it.
to? Right, Jeannie's gonna approve it, but you're not gonna be hanging on to them for.
Well, no, they're not. The maintenance log will stay in the building.
Right.
And if the code enforcement guy goes in and
Right.
looks at it, the maintenance log is jacked,
So,
There-
they
it's
didn't
gonna be
change
an-
the sheets,
it's
they
going to be a
haven't
notice of violation.
washed the towels, they haven't fixed the hot tub, whatever.
Perfect.
Okay, so
Thank you.
a maintenance log
Make that work?
I will make it work.
there you go.
You're not excited about that?
No, I think I'm fine with that. I think I just, that in-between cleaning process is not going to be, I think within those standards, I would like to be able to put that water in the hot tub has to be changed on a quarterly basis
I
or
have a
something of
better
that sort.
idea.
You could,
No, I have a better idea. I don't understand why Jeannie's team could make the protocol. And again, they're signing to adhere to the best practices that you think they need to do. So is it, sheets have to be changed between whatever? Couldn't she already design the protocol?
Absolutely, and the health department
Yes.
should design that protocol.
Yes,
that should
and
be
give
what
it to
is
them.
Be done.
I like that better. 'Cause then
Yes.
you're getting what you feel is appropriate. And then they have the log that supports the cleaning protocol. There you go.
then you have a standard log that you're looking at, so you know what you're looking at.
Yeah.
And that is what Ms. Sullivan and I have been
You
discussing.
get a warm
so-
fuzzy from that, more so than what we suggested otherwise.
I have lots of warm and fuzzies this morning.
So that's a better
As long
one.
as we don't have
So,
an illicit discharge.
The health
we're
department
good.
will develop the,
I like it.
Thank you for the
That's
feedback.
funny.
okay. On the forms prescribed by the health
I like
department.
that a lot.
Dan will legalese that one, but something
When,
like,
when we get to, Dan, that would go to 14, when we get to 14.
put those together or whatever.
So
Okay.
11 and 14 are together. Cool.
Mhm.
Occupancy limit, we talked about that, right? We're good with
Yep.
2 per bedroom, and no, we're going to add in
No
there,
sleeping in
no
common area.
sleeping in common areas, right?
Okay,
Fire pit gas
Wait, that's a
operated, we talked
repeat.
about that.
isn't
Yeah,
that a repeat?
The other one was on the code of conduct. It said
it's
the code of conduct would include, and it was one of the things included in the code of conduct.
it's good.
This is simply saying, it's just not, the script on the code of conduct is saying you can't, the fire pit has to be gas operated.
But the code of conduct is a rule.
The presence of a code of conduct in the content of the code of conduct, this is, in the content of the code of conduct to a certain extent
I'll let
replicates the
Dan
rules.
legalese it, whether it needs to have repeats or not repeats or whatever. Got it. The sanitation we just
14, we
took
did,
care
right?
of. It's not an administrative, it's P permitted, so that one's.
But it's non-transferable. We need to keep that in there.
Yes.
Whether it's
Business
administrative or not.
license is not transferable.
Whatever you guys end up putting it, it's non-transferable.
Business license is not transferable.
A business license already is not transferable, so you can eliminate it.
Okay, good. Yeah.
Yeah, it's out, okay.
Why would we
Uh,
do 16?
Must have insurance with the city, no.
Why would we do that?
No.
We don't do that with any other
We don't do
business.
additional insured on any businesses in
No.
town, only if they're doing business with us.
Or on our property.
On our property. And I'm not in favor of 17. I don't want to be checking people's IDs, and if they're, whatever. Everybody okay with getting rid of 17?
Yeah, I'm not good with 17 at
Yeah.
all.
I would agree.
Eliminate? Okay, was there something else? Uh-oh, did
Well,
we miss
is there a
one, Dan?
minimum age, though? Would it be 21?
No, we're not
Just
gonna decide
18
that.
or just
Whoever can
anything?
legally sign, that's up to the business owner. I would not risk doing it to somebody they can't legally sign a contract, but, right? They're crazy. They'll have their own insurance problems. Is there something else we missed? I'm sorry.
And just to bring this up, I seem to recall from the board work session retreat meeting some time ago that there was some discussion on the record in relation to how would information be passed along from the sheriff's office to Hope's team in the event of a citation being issued for purposes of maintaining good standing for the license holder. So I didn't see this on this list.
Right.
So I just wanted to ensure that that wasn't something that dropped off because I don't want to just try to fill in the blanks when I'm drafting the code.
No, that did come up during the workshop, and the sheriff's office will communicate with my team the way they typically communicate. It's not something that they had suggested, nor that I suggest be codified. If you think it should be codified, we can certainly look at that, but that's been a practice.
You can think about it.
Whatever I think the board would feel comfortable with. I was kind of just noodling around with this the other night. And I thought, okay, well, one of the things could be we just don't codify it at all, and whatever the standard existing practice is, that's what would go forward. Alternatively, I could just tuck in a simple provision that says, the sheriff's office will coordinate, with Hope's team, and they will develop as necessary whatever the most appropriate mechanism would be to communicate that information, just so we have that established in code, that is a recurring communication that is required by CCMC to happen. But I just leave
I don't think
that.
it should be a big deal, but it's fine to put a line in.
I agree. I just want to leave that to the
that it's
board's
a
discretion. Right.
Open,
Requirement does what? Just ensures that
they don't
staff
renew a
follows
license.
through?
Yeah, on renewals, right?
I
They
think-
call the sheriff's office and say, getting ready to renew my address, and
Okay.
how many complaints did we have, or how many, do
Well,
we have
I mean,
anything?
that
You'd
brings
be
up
doing the fines anyway,
That
your
brings up a
group.
broader comment. Should we put something in here that just says,
Hey.
complaints will be reviewed at time of renewal? Or, I mean, you know what I'm getting at? I mean,
Yeah,
broadly,
we-
should we,
Ensures the continuity of that information being transferred between the two departments. It sort of establishes the requirement there for it, rather than a casual protocol.
I have perhaps a suggestion. Again, I don't want to color outside of my line too much, but just a suggestion. You could make it a self-reporting requirement where, the holder of the business license, whenever they do receive a citation from the sheriff's office, they are required to report that to Hope's team, and failure to do so would also be grounds for another violation of their business license
think about that.
standing.
We could also do something that mirrors what we have for liquor. So for liquor, what we have is if they get a citation, they get a citation from the sheriff's office. The sheriff's office lets us know, and in addition to the citation they already got from the sheriff's office, we issue a penalty, a fee, basically a fine, and it goes up, and on the third time, we can revoke their liquor license. So I feel like if it
That's
kind
how
of
we moved to
mirrored,
revocation.
then we already have that structure in
For
place.
that, yeah.
How does the sheriff's department know they're responding to a short-term rental?
Because we'll have the code of conduct up there already, and we can also put it on dispatch because we'll have the responsible party
right.
information at dispatch, because with every single business license that we issue that's bricks and mortar, we provide to dispatch the contact name for somebody if there's an issue. The other comment I have is I feel like this is a good conversation, but it's kind of a conversation that's internal to the city's operation as opposed to a standard. So it
Yeah.
might be part of the enforcement.
Okay.
Well, it's a good conversation because the community knows we're serious about shutting these people down if they're knuckleheads.
Okay. Lisa, did you have something else?
I do. I just have a question back to a minimum age, and I understand the hesitancy, but I also worry a little bit in terms of, for the surrounding neighborhood and I, going back and listening to planning commission meetings on this, the concern about a gathering, like a graduation gathering, and how our, how the neighborhood potentially could be impacted. And I know that the age requirement of 25, and I don't know how you would oversee that per se, but how do we address those concerns? Because I think they're fair.
They're going to.
Well,
If
not
I-
the age concern, but the rest of it is going to be addressed with all the other
The other
provisions
issues
we
are
put
going
in
to
here.
do what you're talking
The
about.
occupancy, the
Right.
quiet times.
Right.
I think that gets to all of those things. I don't know how we possibly
Doing it.
can do the age thing. I don't know how we do that. That means every single application that every STR gets would have to submit to someone the minimum age of a person renting.
I have always advised this board as well as the planning commission against any regulations based on tenancy.
Right.
I think it's a little big brother to see who's using the space. And I agree with what was just said by Supervisor Giomi and the mayor. All the other regulations should ensure good neighbor relations. And my staff's just not, I don't want them approaching people and asking for a driver's license.
Well, I appreciate that, and I just thank you for putting that on the record, because I think it is important that we acknowledge the concerns and the discussions that have taken place. So thank you.
So I think, is there anything that we missed that anybody wanted to add as a condition? Is there
Two
something
other
that came
things I
to you?
wanted, are we going to talk about fines or
Yeah,
are
we're
we-
going to the next section
Okay.
unless you all
So
have something else here.
before that, I don't know if this is a condition or just, so Dan, Hope, asking your professional advice here. Is it difficult? Is it possible? Is it worth it to consider something in here that sort of is a deterrent to people who currently have short-term rentals and have been using them potentially based on the municipal court decision illegally, to, within a reasonable amount of time, go through the licensing process or face a delay in obtaining a license? So does that make sense what I'm asking? So I'm
Yeah,
not-
that came up at your workshop, and at your workshop, what the consensus was of the board was to have a 60-day grace period. That would not be codified, that would just be board direction.
Okay, so after 60 days,
Now we're
what
gonna
happens?
If they have not obtained their business license and lawfully established, then we would pursue code enforcement.
So what I'm, I guess, advocating is, I'm good with that. But what I'm advocating is, do we put something in here, a clause that maybe terminates or drops off, where if they don't apply within 60 days, then yes, all enforcement is open, but additionally, they're not going to be able to come in and get a license for 6 months or 9 months or a year.
A penalty for
A penalty clause
non-compliance
for
of-
non-compliance.
Right. Is that
If I'm hearing this correctly, I think you could probably maybe even apply that more universally, if I'm understanding it right, is that if you're just not operating in accordance with this new regulatory framework and all the licensing requirements, whether you're doing it now or post-adoption of the ordinance, then you would be barred from getting a license for a period of X
Yes.
number of months or a year,
Yes.
6 months, 9 months, 12 months, whatever the case may be. So I don't even think we would have to specify that ramp on period. It's just
Okay.
if you're not in compliance and you're operating illegally upon the effective date of this ordinance, then you're out, you're barred for X number of days.
And on top of that,
After the
you can,
first group of 60 days.
Sure, right, after the
Then we
grace
have to give
period,
everybody
right,
the first,
Of course,
'cause-
right.
on
Right.
top of that, you would still have the ability to enforce the current standard on them, right? They wouldn't, so it's kind of a double whammy, right? I mean, it's not really, but I think we should have a provision like that. I think it, I mean, we know that there's one operating right now and nothing's happening to that person. And they're gonna get licensed and they're operating illegally now, even though they've been told by the court that they can't do it, and they're still doing it. And we collectively are letting them. So because of that, you know, we've got a bit of distrust in the community that we're going to follow through on what we are adopting here. And, you know, I don't like that. It's not under my purview to do anything about, but I don't like that. I don't like the fact that someone has gone through an enforcement action and is now essentially rubbing the community's face in something. And we are allowing it to happen. I don't like that. I don't know that there's anything I can do about it, but I think maybe we can take this step to put something in there from a teeth perspective that, you know, you come into compliance or you're going to be barred from doing this.
I just have a general question too, is once we move for adoption, because he'll have to bring back the first reading, then we have to have a second reading. Is there enough time for you to get all these forms and things done in time that once, you know, that we'll actually can implement with the effective date and then start that 60-day clock? I just want to make sure, and maybe we do that in the final ordinance adoption. You'll be able to tell us, yes, we're ready to go, or you better make it, you know, 70 days, because I
Maybe they
can't
can
get
work
it done.
together and you.
Right. I'm just
I'll be good to
suggesting.
go with the 60-day, Judy.
Okay.
So it's all on Jeannie, is that what you're saying?
Okay.
She's like,
Yeah.
oh, great.
No,
It is mushy.
We'll be good to go. Just
Okay.
one thought in terms of the barring, I guess. Typically, when we do code enforcement, if we identify a use that's not lawfully established, but they have the ability to lawfully establish, we provide them with procedural due process so they can then seek to lawfully establish. So this would be something different than what we typically would do. So I'm just putting that out there for your consideration.
I'm all for
You
what
let-
Stacy said. If they're operating, again, going back to, we're potentially introducing a nuisance that does not exist now. Pound them if they're outside of it.
And what you're describing is also consistent with what you've done with liquor license violations, where you have stopped the sale of liquor for a period of time based on a violation. So I think if
Yeah,
we
we did
equate
10
it
days,
to
yes.
that's sort of more apples to apples as opposed to the
Yeah.
other.
We're essentially treating this as a privileged
License.
license.
It's a
similar
license.
to the other privileged licenses that we issue for liquor, as you mentioned, and for gaming and for
Mhm.
marijuana establishments.
How much
So,
time is the penalty for,
I
much
would say at
time in
least
the-
6 months, at least 6 months. Nothing less in my mind.
At least.
wow, you guys are hardcore.
Yeah.
We all started, you'll
Yeah.
remember, a year or two
Yeah.
ago saying no to these. Big fat no as a group, except for one. I want to, but, you know, so we've come a long way since then.
Okay.
And I'd like to think we've done a better job than we would have if we just said no. I'm willing to admit that,
Okay.
you know, but, yeah, I would
Well,
not
when we
go any
get the
less than 6
final, then
months.
I don't know. Maybe I could live with 6 months, but maybe we then need to do 90 days to come into compliance in the beginning, and 6 months you're whacked.
It's not
Then
that
if you
hard
don't
to
do
come
it,
into compliance.
you have to know about it. I know.
Well, there's a difference.
Not everyone lives here, right?
There's a difference between, you didn't get your hot tub cleaned sufficiently to straight out actively running a black market short-term rental. There's a substantial difference in my
Okay.
opinion.
Okay, I can live with it. I just say wow, but
I mean, you have to find the, you know, I think, Hope, you've had fairly good luck, I think, researching, right, and trying to find the businesses. We've got the input from the assessor's
yes,
office.
she's got 38 of them or
you know,
something, she
so,
said. Mhm.
You know, I wouldn't be opposed if you wanted to, in advance of the ordinance, say, hey, heads up.
Coming up.
You know, you might want to start paying attention. There's going to be an ordinance put out.
That's a good idea.
You know, and
I'd
you're-
feel better.
if you did that now,
Right.
you would tell people that there's going to be significant changes, which could include the lack of ability for you to get licensed. I encourage you to contact us for more information.
And I don't know, can you also notice it on the VRBO and the other vacation rental, getting the notices out there to them?
Short-term,
but-
Airbnb is already notifying their
Okay.
folks.
Okay. That makes me
We
feel
can
better.
look into VRBO.
Because that's how they're advertising.
Well,
So if
maybe
we
you don't
can,
have to do that, you know,
Yeah.
that pre-notice. You know, 60 days seems like enough to me.
well, it's going to depend on the next answer. Okay, well, since we made it, maybe I feel even better since we made it permitted instead of administrative. We're not eating up their time to get the permit. So I could live
Right.
with that. Right? Because we fixed some other things. All right, so now we're down to the placement. I think it's a privileged license. I think that's a Title IV activity, all the fines, the features, the revocations. I like it all being in Title IV because none of it deals with Title 18 conditions. And I guess there's mixed bags. We do have mixed bag. I don't want to say we don't have a mixed bag because we do, but I like this being in Title IV or letting the drafter
That's what I'd say.
determine where the better placement is.
Let's let the subject matter expert and the legal expert
They don't agree.
work. Well, they'll have to go in a room and, you know,
Actually, if we're doing I'm not comfortable with it in 18 if we're barring it for a period of time. In my opinion, it has to be a privilege license
Okay.
because as
Oh, well, there
opposed
we
to
do
land
agree now.
use.
there you go.
So
Okay.
I have to treat it like liquor then.
Okay, so just like liquor. I think that's even where we're going, right? It's a privilege. And
But
I
you're
think-
still going to have to do some work in Title 18, right?
The
In
uses.
No, it will still
in the
be in the
table of
land use
uses.
table
Right,
and
in
it
the
will be
use table.
added there, but in terms of yeah,
Okay.
we're good.
Okay.
We're good. Now we're to making sure, right at the bottom, the fines.
Not enough.
Okay, what do we want to do here?
I'd up it to 750 and 1250.
We can't do more than 1,000, right? What can we do on misdemeanor? What can we do, 1,000? 1,000, we can't exceed, we could do the first one, 750.
Are these criminal? And we're capped at 1,000?
I have a question real quick based on if somebody doesn't get their license and so on. Can we include wording that each day is a separate violation?
Well,
Each day it's actually rented,
Right, just say somebody
not that it's
doesn't,
available.
somebody
it's
doesn't come in for
rented.
the permit, you want to bar them for a period of time, but they don't cease operations. Is that a first violation, or is each day that violation occurs a separate and distinct
So
violation?
wait, they're already licensed or they're
No,
not?
I'm using the example where they're not licensed.
Well, they're
because
not,
this was
this wouldn't
crafted-
apply if they're not licensed.
No, that's one of them too. We
Right.
want to fine them for not being licensed, not just bar them, we're
I'm
fining them.
thinking of the scenario where somebody doesn't get the license.
Right.
And you want to bar them, but they ignore us on stopping.
Right, you wanna
And
fine
will we apply that? Would you like to apply this, I guess? And would you like each day to be a separate and distinct violation?
That's your teeth, right? You want to
So-
fine them.
If I may, Madam Mayor.
Unlicensed, absolutely each day.
Yeah, Mr. You, what's some legal?
All right, so just, a couple of.
To them, 20,000?
Right,
No,
well,
go
I mean,
ahead.
a couple of things for this board's consideration. I think there was an earlier question from Supervisor Jomino with respect to the amount of fines. So I want to be clear, I mean, there is that misdemeanor provision is captured right now as the ceiling, it's $1,000 for the misdemeanor, but that's separate and distinct from any administrative fine or penalty that this board would otherwise want to impose in addition to that. So those are two separate columns.
Right.
But the other thing I would want to mention is, and I'm not saying that I have a legal opposition to this concept of, a per violation, per day accrual of fines and penalties. I just want to make sure that we don't become excessive in the imposition of that and that's just in light and consideration of that district court case that came out of Clark County not too long ago, where essentially that judge had said, when you have an imposition of a regulatory framework where it results in excessive fines to such a degree, which it basically equates to a bar to entry into this market, then that would be, some type of a violation of a person's, property rights. And so we don't want to be overly excessive and get ahead of ourselves, but that's something I just wanted to know for the board's consideration.
So perhaps we take a look at what surrounding communities are doing and set it up so that we cut deep but don't sever the artery.
Well, I'm still kind of.
What do we do to the liquor dudes?
Kind of struggle between two things here. I feel like we're talking about two different things. So
We are.
the first thing I'm talking about is a licensed party who these are these administrative penalties or are these criminal penalties? Dan, these are administrative. So if they're administrative, we're not capped at 1,000.
Just looking at what's referenced at the bottom of the staff report.
That's all I'm looking at.
Right, because there's a reference to a violation of 404 is a misdemeanor. It's punishable by imprisonment in the city jail for not more than 6 months, or by a fine of not more than $1,000, or by both fine and imprisonment. So that's what I was referencing
The
earlier.
4040100.
404.10.
Uh-huh.
Okay, well, I think, I don't know that, we're going to spend 45 minutes trying to discuss this and you giving us a legal education. I think I would like to have a way where can you add a civil penalty under Title IV?
And what I would ask from this board is if you trust me and Hope to work together, it's easy for us to just fill in that minor gap. And when we bring it back to the board, and you can put the exact numbers in, that gives the board more time, and it gives, perhaps Hope and myself some time to figure out what might constitute appropriate teeth, for an enforcement mechanism.
At least for me to try and understand what Hope brought up. How do we, I'm struggling in my head how to make this applicable to someone who's not yet licensed. That's what I'm struggling with. So I feel like it really complicates things if we do that. If we're already going to say if they don't get licensed in 60 days, or at any point in the future, if someone opens a business
Right after that.
that does this and we catch them, they are barred for 6 months.
I agree.
To me, I would stop there and
No fine?
not
Just bar
do
'em?
this. We're just barring them because
Correct.
because it's getting complicated in my head how we enforce something that they're not even a part of yet. You would have to create like a whole
we
nother
bar 'em for
section.
6
So you
months.
bar them for 6 months.
Okay.
The Hope's question is, if during that period, right, they continue to operate, I think you have to forget that, and set some other kind of penalty separate from this. Because but
How about we
maybe you
just
can,
let
but
them
you
work
understand what
on
I'm
it?
saying, Dan? It's
We'll just let you
kind of
work on
hard
it.
to mesh these two in my mind.
Actually, what you're describing is already an issue in the code. If we have a business that has a business license, I have a pathway for enforcement. If I have a business that does not have a business license, I have to rely on Title 18, which may or may not apply. If they're lawfully there per Title 18 and they don't have a business license, I don't have a pathway in Title 4.
So maybe there's
So
a
it's
way.
a bigger issue,
right.
actually.
So maybe there's a way that Dan can write this now and, fix it later for everybody else, or,
I think I follow what you're saying, Supervisor Jomey. It's on the one hand, you've got a properly licensed, a business owner, who's got a short-term rental, and they're in violation of our provision that says you can't be operating a wood-burning fire pit in your backyard. So, okay, that's a penalty, and for each recurring, ongoing occurrence, you can get additional fines. Sure, that makes sense. But what if you're doing this and you're renting out to people, but you're not licensed, period? And I think maybe that's where the criminal pathway has got more teeth, and certainly we have done that before in the past. And
Now you're
the
flying in
DA
the
is not
face.
here to maybe weigh in on that, but that's a discussion that I'll have with the district attorney as well.
no, that makes a
And
lot
you
of
use
sense,
the
because then it's a
criminal.
different path. And you can still put the barring in this part, but direct the other part to a criminal citation that, has to go through whatever. Just
Sure, I'll sit down in a room with Hope and we'll stare at each other and we'll
Okay.
figure something out.
So what we're looking at, kind of, I don't know, unlicensed operation goes down one path, or unlicensed business goes down one path. Operational violations go down a different path, but eventually to being banned as well because they
Yes.
won't comply,
correct.
right?
Yeah, the
So
revocation.
do those two paths come
Yes.
together, or do they stay separate
I
all
think
the time?
they
They do on
separate.
revocation. Once you get to revocation.
No, you start at revocation on the other one. You start at revocation.
No, but I'm saying they
Right.
will come together if I revoke
Okay.
from operational issues and I revoke, he'll become an unlicensed.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
and they
then
will
he goes
match.
down the criminal
And
path.
then he goes down the
And
criminal
that does
path.
make some sense then,
Right.
because those paths
Right.
do.
They
so that- I like
merge.
that.
Yes,
Damn.
that's where they merge.
Okay, this law stuff is fun, Dan.
Gosh, okay. All
Hope,
right.
Hope, were you trying to say something?
I don't remember.
Okay.
All right. Is
Sorry.
there, we've given you all the direction, we've given you more direction than you can live with. Okay. We've got that one resolved? Okay.
Thank
Then-
you, Hope and Dan. Seriously, thank you.
Yep, it's a lot of
Jeannie,
work.
too,
Everybody.
for your
in the
massive
community, everybody.
contribution. Thank
Okay.
you.
So we are going to recess as the Board of Supervisors, and I'm going to call the Redevelopment Authority to order. Mr. Hohen, may I have a roll call, please?
Bagwell. Vice Chair Giomi.
Here.
Member White. Member Horton.
Here.
Member Shooty.
Here.
You have your quorum.
Much. I'm out to item 23, public comment for the Redevelopment Authority. Do I have any public comment for redevelopment? Certainly.
Denny French, Carson City. This was a question I was asking before because I thought it was in the other process. This is what's this word? I'm sorry, I can't say it. Thank you. Reconciliation of changes from the tentative to the final FY '27 budget. So when they get to this point, I will hear this part of this is redevelopment, admin, total expenditures, et cetera. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, do I have any other public comment for the Redevelopment Authority? Okay, seeing none, I'll move on to agenda item 24A. This is our April 16th, 2026 minutes. Anyone have any corrections or changes? Seeing none, Mr. Giomi, motion,
Move to
please.
approve the redevelopment authority meeting minutes from the 16th of April, 2026 as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for approval. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. Let the record reflect it was unanimous. We're now on to agenda item 25A. This is our Redevelopment Authority budget for approval. Ms. Benaboo.
Yes, thank you. So there is one little change in here that unfortunately affects all three funds. It's in the operating,
Of course.
it's in the redevelopment administration, it's operating, it's the janitorial staff. In the supplemental, they added a full-time employee and it's split amongst a bunch of different departments. And so the effect on this department is a slight decrease in operations because of not having a part-time staff fully dedicated. So it'll be a full-time staff split amongst other departments. And the reason it affects different funds is because any savings in the operation then reduces the transfer we need from the tax increment. And then, so since that's reduced, then we can then add that funding to the revolving and use it for the redevelopment programs. So it ends up affecting all three funds.
Thank you.
You're
Now,
welcome.
just for the purpose, when it talks about reconciliation, you have to utilize the actions from our prior meeting, right, on things we voted on that were labeled as supplementals or capitals, if you're talking any of them, that were in our prior agenda. And then they drop into this column to show the impact of the decisions we made at the last meeting.
Right.
I'm just
so-
trying to explain, because I think he had a
Yeah.
question of, I don't even understand the document. And
Right, so the term
Right.
reconciliation is really reconciling the tentative budget, which was approved on 4/16, with what is being approved today, the final budget. And that's the changes that we approved on the 16th with the supplementals and the capital.
Or changes that you discovered through.
Right, or any final
state,
last
or-
minute
yeah.
changes I discovered, which there were none on this fund. It was simply that one supplemental that was approved.
Okay. Is there any, I don't see any questions. Is there any further public comment? Okay. Then I will accept a motion, please.
I move to approve the Carson City Redevelopment Authority final budget as corrected for fiscal year 2027.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for approval. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, say no.
No.
Let the record let it re-forward. Let it read 4-1, no, reflect 4 ayes and 1 no by Supervisor White. Thank you. Okay, we're now going to move on to agenda item 26A. This is discussion and possible action regarding the recommendation to, I know this is funny, it's going to go back and forth, to the board for the expenditure of $6,938,803 for fiscal year 27 to support our events and incentives. Ms. Sullivan.
Before we can expend the money that's in the redevelopment revolving fund, the Board of Supervisors has to pass a resolution authorizing that expenditure. I'm asking the redevelopment authority to make a recommendation to the Board of Supervisors to pass the resolution. The resolution reflects the budget that you just passed for the redevelopment agency. Thank you.
I don't see any questions. Is there any public comment on this item? Thank you so much. I'll accept a motion.
I move to recommend to the Board of Supervisors approval of the expenditures as presented.
I second.
I have a motion and a second for approval. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, say no.
No.
Let the record reflect it was 4 ayes and 1 no by Supervisor White. We're now on to our final public comment for the redevelopment authority. Okay, seeing none. If there's no objection, nothing else I missed, then we are adjourned as the redevelopment authority, and we are reconvening as the Board of Supervisors. We are on the sister or the brother or something of the one we just did. Yeah, I don't know. Which is it? The other one. For agenda item 30A, which is the same thing, authorizing the expenditure of $6,938,803. Ms. Sullivan, I don't know.
Again, this resolution is necessary to be able to spend the redevelopment revolving fund money. This resolution reflects the budget you just passed, and if you approve the resolution, then the money will be allocated accordingly.
Thank you. I don't see any questions. I'll accept a motion.
I move to adopt resolution number 2026-R-10.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for approval. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no.
No.
Let the record reflect it was 4 yeses and 1 no by Supervisor White, and that pursuant to NRS 279-628, the 2/3 requirement has been met. So the item is approved. Okay, we're now on to agenda item number 31. These are our non-action items. Let me clear everything, sorry. Does anybody have anything to share or announce, or we're in great shape?
I attended, I think the mayor, I know the mayor was there, the movie that was filmed entirely in Carson City.
Yes.
Casa Grande, not entirely in Carson City and Carson Valley. In Carson, it was filmed at Bank Saloon, the prison, and of all places, the treatment plant.
And the armory.
Where they,
And the armory.
Oh, and the
right?
armory, that's right.
For the
where they
little
simulated
scene?
the treatment plant was or the army was the lighting, so
Correct.
the solar panels.
Solar panels.
So anyway, it was maybe the movie was questionable, which I think mostly had to do with the editing of it to be able to get it to a length of time
fit.
that you kind of the story made some jumps, but it was really, in my opinion, showcased the area beautifully. And it was pretty cool to see. And, you know, more and more movies, a couple more, I think, right? Supervisor White filmed out at the prison.
Yep.
That movie was filmed entirely in this region, basically in Carson and Douglas counties. All of the people working on it stayed at hotels here. All of them ate at restaurants here. Several of the restaurants did catering. It was, it's, you know, one of those things that is drawing attention in the region, is to, you know, how you could utilize what's available. And it was really fascinating to see how through filming, you know, you can make one thing look like something else, right? So
It was amazing.
That is pretty
it was
amazing.
fascinating, yeah. So anyway, I think it's playing in Douglas County still at one of the theaters down there. May not be still playing if it was, but I think it'll be on TV or streaming here before too long. So if you can get a chance to see it, it's worth watching.
And then a big shout out to our park rangers for a great job this weekend on Kids Park. That was a lot of fun. They take their job very seriously, to have fun with the kids. And they did a great job. So just a good shout out to our park rangers. Okay.
And a shout out to the folks up on Sea Hill.
That's
the
coming along
flag,
really
and
good.
That was quite the trek up, and just the, you know, the drilling and, you know, having to crawl on the panel and get the weight over the drill, and, you know, a lot of work, a lot of volunteer hours, and kudos to everybody who came out.
It's really super. It's really coming along. Okay, I don't see anything else. I'll go to final public comment. Is there any final public comment? Mr. French.
Thank you. Denny French, Carson City, Nevada. First off, I'd like to bring up an article by Joanne Skelly, and she's suggesting that insecticides, especially synthetic, are non-discriminative. They're going to kill the pollinators and the boogeymans, whichever you're calling your assault team that you're spraying for. They're going to kill other things as well. So please keep an eye on being careful about your sprays. The next thing is the advisor about safety and snakes. Apparently there's been some snake bites in other areas, and I'm sure we're going to find some here. The thing I'm bringing this particular article from Nevada Appeal to show the extent that they went to show the difference between a rattlesnake and a garden snake. And I'm going, if you see a snake, stay away from it. So this was not necessary in my book. Just say, watch out for snakes, stay away from, one could be one and one could be the other. But also to suggest that my suggestion, especially with the heat predictions for this coming year, is that we still haven't really addressed the posting of facilities that use artificial turf. I'm sorry that I wasn't a better explainer or couldn't talk you into looking into it more in the first place. It's in the community. We need to be responsible about notifying people proper use and safety involved, and to make sure that our public parks have maintenance people that are trained specifically to do the required work on it. There's a lot of things that need to be done in certain orders. You spray something else. In any case, whether it's you're going to use something in your household cleaners, you mix them, you're going to have a problem. If you don't do it in a certain time, you're going to have a problem. So if we're not going to follow the guidelines put out by the manufacturer, shame on us, because we're looking at not only health issues, but litigations about those, and safety issues if we don't keep track of the heat and such. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, I don't see any other public to have any more public comments. So if there is no objection, then we are adjourned. Thank you, and have a good weekend.